the Ice Age, how much taxes did people pay?
Jesus, I say that.
I see that you know your judo. Follow the which way?
Phrasing.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
Was it a duck with my wife's vagina? Don't be crazy.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
So hot right now. So hot right now. So hot right now.
That's hot.
Follow the which way?
Science.
Get rid of the Second Amendment. Zuckerbucks.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
So bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
This is from 12 Rules for Life.
Well, it's good to see all you space fams here once again. Looks like we've got an overwhelming amount of Dune to cover here today. And here I was thinking maybe we'd have a fun weekend. Well, with all that said, better buckle up, as we've got a journey here to take through the void. That said, it is the weekend, so we're going to start it off with a little bit of fun. I know I've been lacking in the fun arena recently. I'd argue that's not my fault, but I'm sure you could argue the other case as well. Let's watch this historical documentary from Comedy Central. Okay. There we go. A little biblical documentary there from Key and Peele. And completely accurate to the scriptures. Look it up yourself. Do your own research. Alright. Okay, I figured I'd use that as a way to segue into this next sort of quick topic we're going to run into here. Trump changed evangelicals more than they changed him, quote unquote. How Christian nationalism took off in the United States. It's from 19 hours ago from MSNBC. Okay, MSNBC. Here we go.
As you know, the left is trying to shame Christians. They try and shame us.
Jesus, I say that.
I'm a very proud Christian, actually. I'm taking the bullets, taking the arrows. I'm taking them for you, and I'm so honored to take them. You have no idea.
So
November
honored.
5th is going to be called something else. You know what it's going to be called? Christian Visibility Day, when Christians turn out in numbers that nobody has ever seen before.
For many Christian nationalists, Donald J. Trump is the leader they have been looking for. They believe if he becomes president, they can make their vision of what America should be a reality. And there is something he is more than willing to encourage at his rallies on the campaign trail. Anthea, Peter, Catherine's still with us. Anthea, have we ever had a political candidate like Trump? I mean, there are some Christian voters who see him as their savior.
No, we have not had anybody see a presidential candidate as savior. And for evangelicals, this is where I, am personally appalled.
Yes, all the bullets, the arrows, the projectiles, the paper airplanes of wokeness that are coming at Trump. He's going to take them. He's a true martyr for all those poor, disenfranchised MAGA folk.
I don't want reality.
For evangelicals, there is only one savior, and that's Jesus Christ. But the way they think about Trump is that he is a divine figure. In the first round of his presidency, they compared him to King Cyrus. There's all this artwork of Jesus standing behind him in the Oval Office. There were all these memes that happened in the first round. But what has happened now since 2020, and he lost, is that now he's taking up sort of tying himself into a persecution complex. Look, they are doing this to me. I am your savior. I'm the one to do this. So it was no mistake that he started to sell the Bible on Holy Week, right? And last year he did the same thing. He talked about how they are trying to persecute him. So this narrative of persecution is tying into evangelical beliefs about their own persecution or what they perceive to be persecution. And he's the perfect person for them. So in other words, it doesn't matter if he's had 3 wives. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff we thought would matter to evangelicals. What matters to them is that they see him as a suffering savior, but a suffering savior for their causes and for them.
It's science.
Oh, for fuck's sake, chat. It's so true, though. I mean, it really is like it's a combination of a savior complex and an entire group of people who deemed him their savior. So it's not even really a complex. It's like what do you call it? Well, I guess it could still be both. They're not mutually exclusive. I don't know why I'm trying to parse those two things. What's next? Okay, to continue the theme of semi-fun, we are going to watch a couple of these shorts from the last week or so from the Good Liars. The first one here is from 2 days ago. Pro-choice, but pro-Trump.
What are your thoughts on abortion?
I think it's your own choice.
Yeah.
You can't really decide.
This full volume? The fuck?
The situation is.
So you consider yourself pro-choice?
Yes, pro-choice.
Are you upset that Donald Trump appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade and took that choice away from so many people?
I don't think it should be taken away, no.
And it doesn't bother you that Trump appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade?
It doesn't bother me at all. I think he's the best man for the job. We have nobody else that is...
But he did take away the choice for a lot of women because of that. That doesn't bother you. Now women don't have that choice.
Have something in place.
Oh, he must, yeah.
If he made that decision...
This is why we were watching this, right? They're a little bit funny because of just how nonsense what they're saying is. But it genuinely plays into this sort of psychology we were just talking about, right? Where they see him as this sort of benevolent, sort of like Christ-like figure that has it all figured out. He's got some master fucking plan, and even when he does the exact opposite of what they want, they're like, nah, but he's got a plan to make it happen for me personally, for it to make sense to me. And I just don't. Honestly, I struggle to grasp how you get to that place of just truly being indoctrinated in that sort of a thinking, not questioning anything. Like, oh, no, he's got it. He's got it. There's no reason for me to ask whether or not he does in fact have it.
He's a great businessman.
Oh, he's a businessman.
I'm not gonna go
follow the rich way,
man. He's a great businessman, and I'm gonna let him say what he wants to say, do what he wants to do.
You have a construction helmet on right there?
Yeah, we're construction.
Wait,
yep.
hold on. Fuck it. We're just going to go straight into this one. This is a guy who is claiming to be a construction worker, and I would probably say he seems like he does fit the vibe. Yeah, this is his, well, let's just listen to this. If you're not familiar, though, Trump has had some issues in the past with paying construction workers and people who help him.
You have a construction helmet on right there?
Yeah, we're construction, yep.
Does it bother you that Trump famously didn't pay a lot of his construction employees?
Who?
In Atlantic City, a lot of the people who worked on casinos, people lost their livelihood.
Says who?
Says who?
So the people.
It's just known people.
It is a known
Just
thing.
known people, yeah.
I'm sure they deserved it.
I don't want reality.
This guy's a genius. Wait, he says it again.
They deserved it.
Yeah, they deserved it. This guy is brilliant. We should never question anything this man ever has to say. I don't know his name. If you ever see this guy's face again, he knows his shit. They deserved it. Zero analysis there. He just knows that if Donald Trump did it, it was deserved. Okay? You know what it was? It was probably
illegal.
Whatever they were doing. And we gotta stop questioning these things. Okay. What is next? Okay, let's quickly look at this one here. This is from 9 hours ago. There's something of a... that's not the right word. Some people are calling for a renaming of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Maryland that we looked at, what was it, a couple of weeks ago now, collapsed after being struck by a tanker, a shipping tanker, what do you call it? And let's listen in on why.
Since the bridge collapse in Baltimore, there's now a new debate over what to name the replacement and whether this is time to make a change. The bridge was named for Francis Scott Key. He wrote the words that became the Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem. Well, he also owned slaves at one point. And a group of civil rights organizers in Maryland, they called themselves the Caucus of African American Leaders. They're now demanding the Francis Scott Key Bridge be renamed once it's rebuilt. Now, both the governor of Maryland and the mayor of Baltimore were asked about changing the name this week, but they dodged.
I think that any conversations about anything else, there will be time for any and all of the conversations. But right now, if we're not focused on those four things, then we're being distracted.
These families haven't had funerals for their loved ones. We haven't recovered everybody. And we should be having those conversations, as we would say in church, in decency and in order. And when we would not want someone to be talking about renaming something if we lost a loved one that we haven't even had the ability to identify yet.
Carl Snowden, the founder of the Caucus of African American Leaders, is with me now. Mr. Snowden, thank you for being with me. I offered just the overview here, but you make the case. Why rename the bridge?
Well, first, let's respond to what was just said. Why now? Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the time to do right is always now. The fact of the matter is that we should be looking at renaming the bridge. Francis Scott Key not only wrote the Star Banner, but he was also a slaveholder. And his brother-in-law, Roger Taney, wrote the infamous Dred Scott decision. And a decision was made 4 years ago to remove a statue of Roger Taney that had been on the State House grounds for 100 years, because we in Maryland decided that symbols are important. So I think at this point, we have an opportunity to rename the bridge after a great Marylander. His name was Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell. He was a founder of the Congressional Black Caucus. He represented the district in which that bridge is located. And more importantly, he represents inclusion. He represents someone who was trying to make America better and not bitter. And we have a situation with the bridge now is very divisive. It's offensive.
Yeah.
There are African Americans, taxpayers, who live in the state of Maryland,
who
should not be required to spend their tax dollars rebuilding a bridge named after a slaveholder.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all we need from this video. What was I about to say, though? I had another thing. Oh, right. Oh, shit. Go back and fix this. I just realized you all exceeded 20 likes, unlocking Captain Benjamin Sisko alongside Scott Bakula here. Uh-oh. Rogue Jessica Fletcher in there, though. There we go. Okay, fixed it. Fixed it. Moving on. What do we got next? Okay, this is something that came out a couple hours ago from Associated Press. I actually haven't even watched this. I threw it in like really fast, like as I was kind of getting myself ready to actually start the stream. I noticed it, so I just threw it in right here next to the bridge. As here's a video of barges breaking loose on the Ohio River in Pittsburgh, damaging a marina and striking a bridge. They also appear to be filled with coal. I can't tell 100%, but that's what it looks like in the picture, at least. Is that coal? Does that look like coal to you, chat? I am no coal miner, but it looks like it to me. As you can see here, they took out this bridge. Not bridge, sorry, a marina, like docks on the bridge. Not a bridge. Okay. It's just breaking news, so I figured I'd throw that in there, keep it moving. This is from 22 hours ago. Detroit reaches $1 billion in affordable housing milestone. Detroit is doing some stuff. Apparently. Let's listen in.
The amount of money poured into the city of Detroit over the last 5 years for affordable housing is staggering. We're talking about $1 billion invested and more than 4,000 units.
Yeah, tonight another development is going up along the Detroit riverfront, adding 150 units to the mix. Mara McDonald is live along Jefferson on Detroit's east side with more. Hey, Mara.
Hi, Damon. You know, take a look. You can see they've started to break ground here. If you look at the renderings, you can see what this is going to look like. But when they talk about affordable housing, what really counts as affordable? Let me take you through it. Detroit has all sorts of splashy new buildings going up, new restaurants, new apartments, you name it. The perpetual problem is people end up getting displaced because they can't afford the higher rents. And make no mistake, the rents in this city, they aren't cheap. For example, a 586 square foot studio at the New Water Square is going for $2,475 a month.
The mayor and the city council have been completely unified on one principle, and that is that lower income Detroiters who have been here will not be displaced for new residents coming in.
In total, there have been 71 projects so far in collaboration with more than 30 investment partners and more than 50 development partners.
It's unlike anything you've ever seen to have this much commitment from developers, city leadership, government, city council, the mayor, funders, to all to come together for one mission, to make sure there's quality, affordable housing for our residents, for our people at this time.
What does affordable mean? It means it does not exceed 30% of a household's monthly income. In Detroit, the median income for a family of four is $28,400 a year, which means the units would be available to them for less than $8,520 a year, which means a max rent of $710 a month.
We need this everywhere. We genuinely need this at $710 a month. Sign me up.
This wall behind us is just indicative of just great progress here in the city. You see places where now folks live, where they can pay for it.
Did you just say $1,800 for a one-bedroom in South Dakota to me? Stop saying nonsensical things, okay, please?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Alright, what's next? Oh, let's watch this to kind of segue us into some other things. Today in history for April 4th. This is from... Wait, what? Why is April 4th? Fuck you. This is the wrong date. You don't... Just... Yeah. I added the April 13th one, but I have April 4th here in this list. I swear to God. I swear to God. I am losing it. I'm losing it, bro. Fuck it. Alright, we're just gonna skip this because it's clearly not April 4th. Let's watch this for multiple reasons, but considering everything that's been going on lately with regards to wars and such, and also the release of the TV series, which I binge watched last night. This is this is from Kyle Hill from 4 days ago. Science of Fallout's brutal opening sequence. Fuck you, it's not April 4th. We're skipping past you, you bastard. There we go.
Long before I was a noted nuclear zaddy, I was a Fallout fan. I have hundreds of hours in each game. I've even gone as far as to work directly with Bethesda to science everything from mini nukes to giant laser beams. One thing that I was never able to science, though, until now, is this iconic image. No, this isn't just Vault Boy. If the internet is to be believed, this iconic image is actually hiding some nuclear science in it. Is this a rule of thumb that in the event of a nuclear war could save your life? Or is it just a bunch of bleh? If the ghouls of the internet are to be believed, this iconic Vault Boy pose is much more than just a thumbs up. It's supposed to be a quick way to determine whether or not you are too close to a nuclear blast. You look at the mushroom cloud in the distance, you hold up your thumb, and if the mushroom cloud is bigger in your visual field than your outstretched thumb, you are too close. Now, too close is hard to define without a working knowledge of nuclear weapons, so let's start there. What about nuclear weapons is so dangerous?
Everything. They are clear, existential.
Spoiler, it's bleh. Is that in reference to the Fallout show? Yeah, I have my criticisms as well. I'm gonna save that for some other time.
Threats to civilization.
Yeah, no, I know that, Arya, but like, specifically though.
Oh, beep boop.
From decades of testing, we know that the energy distribution during a nuclear blast is more complicated than just uranium going boom boom. Yes, most of the energy goes into blast like it does for conventional chemical explosives, but there are also significant and potentially lethal thermal and radiative effects. So, what too close to a nuclear bomb means, we'll have to take into account being far enough away from each energy mode. We're going to evaluate each energy mode and not just potential nuclear fallout like the meme focuses on, because fallout depends on much more complicated factors like wind speed and direction and height of burst, factors that you won't know just looking at a mushroom cloud. And in the event of a nuclear war, blasts that create fallout are not actually optimal for destroying cities, so we're going to ignore this aspect for now. So, what is too close? Too close to radiation will risk acute radiation poisoning and death. Too close to thermal will risk blindness.
Oh, you're spoiling this video that we're currently watching. Oh, okay. You just finished episode 1. No, honestly, like I did like the show, generally speaking. Like I still have like a couple of criticisms, but I feel like most of them are sort of like film technique based in some regards. But honestly, I'm not even gonna say anything else because it just came out. There's no reason for me to spoiler it for people.
Of all degrees, and in the limit, vaporization. Too close to blast will risk blunt force trauma and soft tissue ruptures. Now here's a question that I think is fair for this Fallout Physics 101 class that we're apparently having. Sit down in the back. Which aspect of a nuclear blast will travel the furthest and will therefore define the utility of this rule of thumb? Radiation is usually what we think about most when it comes to nuclear weapons, but
what's the show? The show that I'm talking about is, what's it called? Oh shit, we're talking about it right now. Fallout. It's based on the video game Fallout. There's like multiple versions of it. There's like a mobile game for Fallout, as well as, like, I think you can do it on like PC or like other... You lost your Prime password? That's unfortunate. But that is where you can get it for free on Amazon Prime. Alright, we're going to watch like 30 more seconds and I'm going to skip us forward.
Is that actually what we should be concerned with here? Arya, throw the options up on screen. Think about it. I'll be right back. After a nuclear blast, how far the energy goes will be determined both by the size of the weapon and the environment that weapon is in. Now, while radiation may be what most people think about when it comes to the aftermath of a nuclear explosion, radiation actually has the shortest range of the energies involved. That's because high-energy particles and gamma rays are scattered and reflected by atoms in the air, and therefore don't travel as far. They can even be deflected back towards ground zero. And just a side note, ionizing X-rays at the instant of detonation are what produce the tremendous but relatively small fireball that we're not considering here.
Okay. I'm just gonna skip us forward a little bit. Ah, shit. Alright, here's the conclusion of the video.
Fist about 10 degrees in your visual angle. So, at this safe distance for this Fallout rule of thumb to be true, the mushroom cloud behind me needs to be...
Oh, a point of... Actually, we'll go back a little bit further just so that we can get the run up to this.
What are the chances that the internet would be wrong about something as complicated as nuclear physics? A flaw in Bethesda logic? Yeah, right. Aria, take us to the surface, please.
It's super dirty out there, but...
I know, just...
Okay.
A fun little rule of thumb is that if you take your outstretched fists and hold it against the horizon, it takes up about 10 degrees of your visual angle. You can use this to estimate how far the sun will travel in 1 hour. Now, it also just so happens that your thumb is about the same height as your fist, about 10 degrees in your visual angle. So, at this safe distance for this fallout rule of thumb to be true, the mushroom cloud behind me needs to be smaller than 10 degrees. If a Hiroshima-sized nuclear weapon detonated behind me, it would produce a mushroom cloud yay big. From a simple equation that you can do at home, we can see that this would be a visual angle of 70 degrees. And so this fallout myth doesn't hold much irradiated water. You can, in fact, be much, much closer to a mushroom cloud than this rule of thumb says. Even if the bomb was much larger, produced a mushroom cloud that stretched a third of the way to space, it would still...
Chat. Too much math, chat? Well, that is funny. And fair. Also very fair. But yeah, point is, it is not a rule of thumb. Just get that out of your head. Just if you see a nuke coming, run in the other direction. That's the best advice. By the way, I watched this guy's videos to the end. His Patreon list is fucking insane. He must have literally thousands of Patreon. Like, it's like, holy fuck, dude. Oh my god. But he's been going at it for years and years and years and years and years. What am I doing? Ah, yes, moving on. Oh, yeah, Epimu? I don't know if I'm saying that right. But yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I feel like this is going to be a topic, especially due to what's currently happening in the news, that I'm not really edging you on. It just happens to be what we usually do at the end, and especially because of the fact there's stuff breaking right now, I'm kind of waiting to cover that as much as possible. But yeah, I think we all know what is currently taking place in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. If you haven't seen it, shit be going down. We definitely have stuff to talk about relating to that. I only have like a dozen videos in here relating to it. Moving on. Okay, this is for fun. Once again, it's the weekend. I'm trying to make it slightly fun. So this was fucking fascinating to me, and I thought it might be equally interesting to you, or at least to some degree as interesting to you. I don't know. I love, you know me, I love graphics and maps and stats and charts and things. Infographics, they're like my favorite thing. Alright, that's a lie. But they're up there on my list. This is from a streamer, or not streamer, like a content creator I've never heard of, named Adam, spelled A-D-U-M-B, from 2 weeks ago, where he made a graphical representation of Wikipedia.
What you are looking at is a visual representation of Wikipedia, a website that I can almost guarantee you've used at some point in your life. Each circle represents one of the 6.3 million English Wikipedia articles, and these are the nearly 200 million links between these articles that form the network of Wikipedia. This graph is the culmination of months of work, thousands of lines of code, and an absurd amount of computation time. And I know what you might be thinking. What a complete waste of time. Because other than looking mildly interesting, we can't really extract any useful information from this graph in its current state.
I think we can all agree that World War III is not fun. I don't think I made that suggestion, though.
But I promise that if you stay with me and watch this video, not only will you come to understand this graph, but you just might learn a couple of interesting things along the way. Let's start by understanding the different colors of this graph. Each color represents different communities which were algorithmically determined. A community is a group of nodes, or in this case articles, which are more tightly linked to each other than they are to other articles in the rest of the network. In total, the algorithm detected 44 different communities. The idea behind finding these communities is to group similar articles together, since, in theory, articles which are more closely linked to each other should also have more similar content. In order to test this theory, I looked at the categories for each of the articles in a given community, and found the most common categories within that community. For example, if we look at community number 3, which has over 760,000 articles, we'll find that the most common categories of articles are related to politics and law. It's in this community which we'd find the articles of the United States presidents. Now let's look at community number 5, and we'll find that this community is all about music, and it's where you're most likely to find all your favorite musicians. Community number 10 is where you'll find video games, and there's a high likelihood that every video game you've ever played has a corresponding article in this community. Now, having communities about politics, music, and video games makes sense, because they're both popular and broad subjects. But not all of the communities are so straightforward. For example, the top categories of community number 11 are about space objects, and community number 19 is related to Norwegian politicians. One of the most interesting things about the way the articles are separated into different communities is the way they can reflect society. For example, community number 6 is all about English and American movies and television, but there are also two separate communities for Indian and Korean movies and television. This shows the popularity of both Indian and Korean cinema and a distinct separation from Western cinema. I thought it would be interesting to look at films like Parasite and RRR, which come from Korea and India respectively, but found massive success in America as well. These movies were more closely linked to American cinema than most other foreign films. Moving on, one of my favorite communities in this graph is community number 14. The top categories here are pretty evenly split between Canadian people and hockey, which I guess just shows how closely linked hockey and Canada are to each other. In these cases, it's easy to understand the way articles have been grouped into their different communities, but that's not always the case. Let's look at the general classifications for each community with a notable amount of articles. What I find
This list is fascinating to me. It seems to be mostly sports and politics. And movies.
interesting about this list is that the top categories from half of these communities are related to different sports. If you were to ask a human to broadly categorize all of the articles on Wikipedia, there's a good chance they would put most, if not all, the sports articles into a single group, while the Wikipedia network would suggest that they are all quite separate from each other. So now we understand the colors of the graph and the layout of the graph, but what about the different sizes of each circle? The size of each circle, or node, is proportional to the amount of incoming links to its corresponding article. In other words, the more times an article is linked to by other articles, the bigger its node will be. For example, the article for basketball is referenced by 44,000 other articles, so it's going to be bigger than the articles for free agent and golf, which are linked to less times. Something interesting we can do with the graph is look at all of the links to a specific article to see how much of an impact it has on the overall graph. For example, the article for COVID-19 is one of the fastest growing and most linked to articles, with over 46,000 articles referencing it. When visualized, it looks like this. 46,000 incoming links is a lot, but it's still
Which
a
makes sense
relatively
because it
small
made
amount
a
when
global
compared to the
impact.
most referenced articles on Wikipedia. For example, over 100,000 articles linked to the article for World War I. However, even that is significantly less than the 189,000 articles that link to the article for World War II. On a side note, I find it interesting how the graphs for World War I and World War II are similar to each other, showing how articles with a similar type of content also share similar links. Despite the article for World War II being referenced nearly 200,000 times, it's only the fourth most linked to article on the English Wikipedia. The second most referenced article has over 240,000 links to it, and it belongs to the article for association football, or soccer.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this graph is that even though it has more links, most of the links come from within the same community for football articles, with a lot of links originating from articles on football players and teams.
I
There's
don't know
still
why these
one more
graphs
article
fascinate
left,
me
which
so
is
much.
referenced more than any other article on Wikipedia. Linked to by nearly 280,000 other articles, the article with the single biggest impact on the Wikipedia graph is the United States.
There you go, folks. U.S. #1. Let's go. I'm just messing with you. Anyways, this thing goes on for like literally 20 minutes. The deep dive is incredible, and honestly, I would recommend you watch it in like some spare time if you're as or at least nearly as fascinated as I am by that situation, because I I found it a very interesting watch. There's definitely more to it, but I just figured we'd talk about it. Okay, moving along to other stuff. Just some sort of general, like, American businessy stuff here. A few of those here in a row. USA, USA. America. Okay, chat. Okay. People are gonna come in here and think we're being serious. Let's look at this this one from a couple of months ago.
When's the last time you went to the mall? It's probably been a while. Due to the popularity of online shopping, thousands of malls in this country close every year, and many of the ones still open look like ghost towns.
I walk inside, and this is what I am seeing. Just nothing. Everything is empty. This fountain has no water in it.
That woman, Kasha Campbell, says her favorite shopping center is now a ghost mall.
It was like Twilight Zone meets like zombie apocalypse movie. Like it was the weirdest feeling.
It's nearly empty.
Whoopsies, what did I just do?
2 million square foot mall outside downtown LA.
Hey, chill on your shit.
Famous when it was featured in the film Back to the Future. Empty 1.2 million square foot mall outside downtown LA was made famous when it was featured in the film Back to the Future. Now it's another ghost mall with escalators still running but very few shoppers and storefronts shuttered with barred security gates.
When this center opened in 1974, it was one of Southern California's biggest malls. There were 155 retail stores here. Today, there are fewer than 20.
And many of those remaining stores are closing. This mom and daughter who came for ice cream were creeped out.
Ghost, I'd say kind of something out of a movie where you think some zombies are going to come around the corner and, chase us away.
Everybody is genuinely scared of zombies. I don't know what it is. It just translates to literally everyone, it feels like. But this is a real problem, right? In terms of space being underutilized, being heated, cooled, lit. Like they're saying, escalators still on. All these sorts of things that are contributing to, the environmental catastrophe that's currently undergoing, and yet aren't really benefiting society as much as they should be. And I've seen some projects where they're trying to reinvigorate malls by creating housing in them, which I think is a good idea. And trying to make, I think honestly malls are great opportunities to have sort of all-encompassing housing where you could have stores and housing in the same fucking buildings, right? And might help create community among people, whatever else. Just thinking out loud here. You don't like to shop on Amazon. I think everyone feels guilty about shopping on Amazon, but everyone also has an Amazon account. So it's a real conundrum there. But yeah, I mean, I have one, right? I watched, that's how I watched that show. God, what are we gonna do? Housing in malls? Is that too revolutionary for you, Soul Life? I'm sorry. I'll come up with a better idea. I have better ideas, I swear. Okay, this is from 21 hours ago, Global News. Canadian independent movie theaters say industry is in crisis.
The Roxy in Uxbridge is in its second act. In 1996, Kathy Christoph and her husband Mark purchased the 1950s building. The original cinema had closed and became a convenience store. They renovated and reopened it once again as a movie theater. For the lifelong Uxbridge resident, she wanted to give back to the community. But lately, the community has backed out.
It's not really that many people here anymore. If you're lucky, you maybe get 20, 30 people.
The Roxy Theatres of Uxbridge isn't the only local independent movie theatre in Canada struggling. In fact, many operators say they are in a crisis and on the verge of closing. Certainly, COVID-19 set many back, and just as many say, they haven't yet bounced back.
We are still not even at 50% capacity. And so I always say we're in recovery mode. I can only go so long.
The movie watching landscape has changed. Streaming
Yeah.
services are dominating. It's all
Exactly.
foreshadowing a familiar ending.
We're getting to the point now where if we can't improve our numbers, we won't be able to stay open.
Yep, it's a fact. And I'm just kind of trying to get us thinking about technological changes with this video before we go into this next one. Wait a second. Why do we have this video in between these two? Oh, my organizational system still needs work. Well, fuck it. Let's just watch this. It's like a minute long. But, yeah. Last week was the worst decline on week for stocks in 2024. According to ABC News.
Well, bears are making a return to Wall Street amid fears of inflation and rising tensions in the Middle East. ABC's Alexis Christoforous is here now to break it all down. Alexis, good morning. There's not much good news here.
I wish I had some good news to share, Janae, but inflation worries and uncertainty in the Middle East had investors heading for the exits on Wall Street. Stocks suffered their worst week so far this year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 476 points. The S&P 500 slid 75, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq tumbled 275 points. Growing tensions between Iran and Israel sent oil prices above $90 a barrel. Some analysts now predicting $100 oil if those tensions escalate.
Okay, moving on. Wait, was I on the screen the whole time? What just happened? Well, hopefully, it honestly is like not that important. So we're just gonna, I don't care. I don't care. Raptors in chat. So many raptors. Okay, now onto the thing that I was trying to segue with that other one relating to technological advances. This is, wait, I have two Kyle Hill, I guess I do. All right, this is another Kyle Hill video for whatever reason. Because we're having fun, that's why, chat. Don't ask me questions. Questions that you haven't asked me. From a month ago. Generative AI, we aren't ready.
In The Three-Body Problem, Chinese sci-fi author Liu Cixin offers a solution to the famous Fermi paradox. The universe is not empty of life. Rather, the universe, he writes, is a dark forest. There is life throughout it, but it's both hidden and hostile. Why? Because any intelligent life foolish enough to broadcast its presence to the cosmos is immediately preyed upon by other more advanced civilizations. And so the Fermi paradox isn't one. Life is out there, but it's intentionally silent.
As sci-fi as the theory sounds, you're more familiar with the idea than you think. Every day we live more and more of our lives on the internet, in the digital. And every day that space is flooding more and more with bots, advertisers, trolls, data scrapers, clickbait, influencers, and mindless social media mobs looking for today's main character. The internet feels steadily more lifeless, but that's because, like those alien civilizations, the real human users are hiding in private apps, servers, and RSS feeds, lest they be beset by these digital predators. This is Yancey Strickler's dark forest theory of the internet, something to explain the declining realness of the web. And I know you feel it. It's hard not to when most photos are shopped, influence is bought, engagement is a meaningless number, and every article reads worse than a high schooler's first essay. Unfortunately, with the now unstoppable spread of generative AI, the forest is about to get a lot darker and a lot more dangerous.
When you and I last spoke about generative AI, or AI that can generate new text, images, videos, sounds from training data, I was merely speculating on how this new technology might change your digital life. But you know it already is, don't you? When's the last time you clicked on anything, believed any headline or any social media post, not wanting to go through the time and effort to check whether or not it's ground truth, whether or not it has the right context, whether or not it's made by an actual person? How could you not feel overwhelmed in an increasingly lifeless and dangerous internet?
The dark forest internet and generative AI is probably why you've retreated to the places you still get provably human interactions with people you might even know. Private spaces like text messages, emails, Discords, and Slacks. There have always been advantages to these more curated spaces, of course, but as cultural anthropologist Maggie Appleton points out, generative AI and large language models like ChatGPT are going to force us further into our digital bunkers and impenetrable silos, echoey though they may be, because the dark forest internet is exponentially expanding. Misinformation expert Nina Schick estimates that the majority of online content will be synthetic within the next year. Case in point, ChatGPT and its users are currently generating more text than has ever appeared in every physical book ever written every 2 weeks.
That is insane.
So by now, language models have turned into lots of very easy-to-use products, right? You don't really need any technical skills to use them. So these are a bunch of very popular copywriting apps that are out there in the world.
Here's just one of the examples of what's coming from Appleton's talk, The Expanding Dark Forest and Generative AI, the reason I'm making this video. Imagine that some political lobbyists spin up 1,000 decently intelligent AIs that can generate text and video, and then they tell each of them to go be influencers. The bots then instantaneously make accounts on most social media platforms. They generate their own websites. They publish independent books.
Good God.
With synthesized voices, they make mini documentaries on YouTube. They host each other on podcasts. Individually, they all appear to make a reasonable human amount of content.
They host each other on podcasts? Is that
these
real?
human lobbyists have created an automated content ring of lifeless engagement at a scope and scale that would take any one human a lifetime to create and curate. This is all possible with the technology that we have right now. And it appeared almost out of nowhere in just a few months.
But the point is that this is incredibly easy to do at this point with no technical skills.
Appleton's example isn't just hypothetical. Companies are doing this right now. In the November of 2023, Elon Musk's mistake user Jake Ward tweeted this.
Oh, this one's disturbing.
We pulled off an SEO
this
heist
is
that stole
disturbing.
3.6
This shit right here, hold on, we gotta go back and listen to this from the beginning. This right here, this one is fucking disturbing. Like, the other one is sensational, this is problematic.
Right now. In the November of 2023, Elon Musk's mistake user Jake Ward tweeted this. We pulled off an SEO heist that stole 3.6 million total traffic from a competitor. AI allowed Ward to quickly and easily export a competitor's sitemap, turn their list of URLs into article titles, and then in a matter of just hours, create 1,800 articles from those titles that directed web traffic away from that competitor.
Like, and here's the thing. In the business world, especially for people such as ourselves, I think we probably see that as not being problematic. But think about it from, say, the perspective of politics, or on education, or on, I'm trying to think of another good example, but on like public health, like vaccines or something like that, right? Where essentially, if you have a nefarious objective, right? You can grab, you know, some software and get it to start pumping out misinformation like there's no tomorrow, and then use things like search engine optimization, aka SEO, right? And using a little bit of finances here, right, to be able to drive traffic away from the truth, from what, from, say, a journalist's article, right? And instead drive traffic to say people pushing ivermectin during the COVID, like say during like 2020. This was capable back then. It certainly did not have the same sort of level of sophistication at all. Last 4 years, things have taken off to an incredible degree. Anyway,
Imagine this kind of strategy for every single corner of the internet. Every business, every chatbot, every influencer pulled off faster and more efficiently than any human could even conceptualize. This is what's coming.
The dark forest expands.
Okay, do we watch the conclusion of this? Let's watch this. I'll watch a little piece of this last part of it.
Maggie Appleton has some practical advice for human signaling online in an age of generative AI. And the first is right here. Show up in meet space. Meet other people. Go outside and actually touch grass. Something no doubt was lost when our digital lives became more important than our physical ones. So let's go out there and reclaim it. This is not as fun or as accessible as the internet before it went dark, but it's probably the quickest and easiest way to prove that.
You hate his beautiful. Oh, it's his beautiful hair. I see. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Fuck it. We've seen enough of this. We get it. I think we get it. What's next? Meet them. MEAT them. That sounds like a threat. Okay. Shit. I'm gonna keep holding off on Middle East stuff for a little bit here. How far are we in? We are 1 hour 5 minutes in. Not bad. Making decent headway. Let's listen to a couple of opposing opinions on artificial intelligence at the Cambridge Union, what do you call it? Meeting house? Public? I forget what they call it. Maybe he takes hair supplements. Totally possible. I mean, he's killing it. He's probably got money for the hair supplements at this point. What if it's a wig? Oh my god, Mowing Up is blowing it wide open.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry we're a little late. So tonight we debate AI, the motion that this House believes artificial intelligence is an existential threat. And we're honored tonight to be joined by particularly distinguished individuals. In proposition, we have Connor Lay, Rebecca Gorman, and Professor Joanna Bryson. While in opposition, Professor Judy Weissman, Dr. Indra Joshi are joined by student speaker Igor Sterner from Pembroke College. Before we begin, let's just recap the format for the evening. So each paper speaker tonight has 10 minutes to make their case. The first and last minutes are protected time, so please do not try and POI them during that time. But as members, this is your house, and we welcome contributions from all. So between each round of paper speakers, there will be time for speeches from the floor in proposition, opposition, and abstention. Should you wish to make one of these, please just put your hand up when the moment comes and wait for the microphone to come to you. Don't forget to say your name and college. And finally, if you wish to make a POI, please remember to keep it short and polite. Right, let's get started. Opening the...
Wow, Pitchforks, you welcome the AI overlords. All... Wow. Wow. Okay. Hey, you know.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Debate tonight is Mr. Conor Leahy. Conor Leahy is the CEO of AI startup Conjecture, working on understanding large ML models and aligning them with human values. He is also the founder of Eleuther AI, a decentralized grassroots collection of volunteer researchers, engineers, and developers focused on AI alignment.
Hold on, I'm gonna get past this introduction. I forgot how long this took. There we go.
Luckily, I find myself in the lovely halls of Cambridge University. So the motion tonight is that the House believes that artificial intelligence is an existential threat. And there is a common temptation in a new generation of young technologists, such as myself, to think of ourselves of every new debate, every new idea, every new topic that we come up with as novel and unique, while forgetting the history of the great minds that came before us. In 1951, there lived a man named Alan Turing, the father of computer science, a titan of his field, a hero of World War II, and a tragic figure driven to suicide by his own country's intolerance for his non-standard sexuality. In 1951, Alan Turing gave a lecture in Manchester entitled Intelligent Machinery, a Heretical Theory, exploring the consequences of building computer systems capable of displaying intelligence. In this lecture, he said, "For it seems probable that once the machine thinking method had started, it will not take long to outstrip our feeble powers. There would be no question of the machines dying, and they would be able to converse with each other to sharpen their wits. At some stage, therefore, we should have to expect the machines to take control."
Is chat getting paid by Flintstones vitamins, perchance? There seems to be a lot of Flintstones talk going on right now. And to be honest, I'm not mad at it. Now that you're talking about it, I'm somehow... What's the word? I'm somehow nostalgic for those vitamins. Just from that. And see, this is the effective marketing strategy that's clearly taking place right now. You've all been paid by big vitamin.
And so as we stand at the dawn of a new age of unprecedented AI progress, it is tempting to think of this topic as just a novel fad of existential risk of AGI, rather than a fundamental question that has been with us since the very beginning of the field of computer science. The definition of existential risk is a risk that threatens the premature extinction of humanity or the permanent and drastic destruction of its potential for desirable future development. The loss of control of our future. And if we build machines that are more intelligent, more competent than people, that are more capable at manipulation, deception, politics, science, business, and everything else, and we do not control them, then the future will belong to them, not to us. Everything else derives from this simple observation. Now, I don't claim to have the true definition of intelligence, the true definition of reasoning, any of these things, but I also don't care. What I care about is competence. I care about the ability to solve problems, to gain power. And many of our greatest scientists, engineers, companies are striving to build such machines of competence, and I expect them to succeed. And let us be clear that the development of fully autonomous AGI agents that act in the real world is the deliberate goal of companies such as DeepMind, OpenAI, and others, even enshrined in their very charters. While at the same time, our progress on being able to control and understand such minds is progressing at a pitiful rate. The danger does not come from some evil property that must be removed from such systems. It comes from power, from competence. If you build extraordinarily competent machines, autonomous machines, that you do not control, well...
Why are we talking about phenylalanine right now? What is happening? Where did that come into play, please, chat?
Consequences should be evident. This is not to say that there is not incredible benefits that can be had from many applications of AI.
Vita, Meta, Vegemin. All right,
99%.
You've all gone off the rails.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. AI applications are narrow rather than general autonomous AGI systems. Applications in science and healthcare, in so many other wonderful applications. And these benefits should be reaped. This is not to say that these narrow applications cannot also bear harms. Of course they can, like with any new technology. The fact that narrow AI poses grave harms to groups both broad and vulnerable can coexist naturally with the fact that existential risks from general powerful AI threatens all humans of all groups. The harms affecting all groups are not just from negligence, though there is plenty of that as well, but also because we simply, on a purely technical level, do not know how to understand and control general intelligence to make it so that it gives us what we want instead of risking the survival of all.
Okay. There's still like 33% left of that, but we're going to move it along. Chat is just filled with vitamin and hair / wig conspiracy theories. Moving on. Let's listen to the other side at the same debate. This is Igor Sterner at the Cambridge Union. That was Connor Leahy, if you're unfamiliar with him. By the way, chat, I think you're like 5 likes away from unlocking Jessica Walter right now. I'm sorry, Jessica Walter. I just thought, I've been thinking too much Archer lately. Jessica Fletcher. Other Jessica. Oh shit, I just realized I have to line this up. Hold on. 1 second. There we go.
And he won the right to speak tonight through open audition. Igor, you have the floor.
I have 3 questions to ask you. Please could you answer by putting your hand up. How many of you ate today with a knife and fork? Keep your hand raised, please. If you have ever had thoughts of killing someone with your knife, keep your hand up.
Fair. It's fair. That's fair.
If you
Honest.
believe
It's an honest answer.
your knife is sentient, has agency, and can decide to do its own bidding, and may attack you or me, keep your hand up. I suppose that those of you with your hands down are comfortable to use human tools for constructive and safe purposes. And I don't think I need to convince you that, like most other tools, AI can be used for bad outcomes too. As for those of you still with your hands up, well, I guess I hope I don't meet I hope I don't bump into you on my way home. Feel free to lower your hand and perhaps ask your knives if they can lower their hand too. We humans think we're unique in our ability to develop tools. Once upon a time, we realized we could use flint to make fire. Knives were a very useful tool for survival. More recently, we came up with the engine and realized we could put it in metal boxes with wheels to go about. If you were looking at any of these things for the first time, I would be surprised if you weren't somewhat threatened by their potential to do harm. But ultimately, tools come along and change the way things are done. Previous skilled labor may no longer be valuable, and it's no new thing that humans feel threatened by that. In the past couple of years, scientists have managed to make some really huge calculators to crunch pretty much all of the data us humans have ever made. As a researcher in AI, designing AI systems for me is something like using a calculator.
I'm laughing at multiple things at the same time. This guy's words, and then then chat for multiple reasons. First off, vibrators. Second, Aaron W. quote unquote drop the accent nerd. This is at the goddamn Cambridge Union, okay? It's in England. He genuinely has this accent. Oh my fucking god. But I would also point out that calculators are definitely not AI, just by definition.
AI systems, for me, is something like using a calculator. Not yet, please. Typing things into a calculator is easy. Knowing what to type is hard. In my speech today, I'm going to begin by trying to explain what I think AI is. I want you to think of AI as if it was simply a very fancy calculator. Anyway, let's begin by briefly discussing what AI is. Some of you new to Cambridge may have used Google Maps to get here. You depended on AI. Some of you may have crossed traffic lights. Maybe you called an Uber. We all depend on AI every day.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, you two. You're talking about AI VR succubots taking over incels across the world? Jesus. That does sound like an existential threat now that you say it.
With this new wave of generative AI, people are worried about the new capability to quickly produce lots of stuff, which could be lots of bad stuff. But let's not forget, that's not a new thing. The only reason AI produces bad stuff is because humans have been producing very bad stuff for a long time. Anyway, again, what is AI? I think AI is most things around us that we don't have to bother with anymore because some system does it for us now. Many traffic lights in Cambridge adjust depending on the traffic flow. In other countries, traffic lights are connected to a larger system that can guarantee the path of green lights for emergency vehicles. When you cross on that green light, you're putting your life on the line in trust of the AI. But let me ask you this. Traffic lights have been around for a while now. Are you more worried about the threat of traffic lights tricking you into going when a truck is coming from the other direction, or the threat of some other human coming from the other direction, ignoring the traffic lights? I'm going to take a detour now to try to convince you that even modern AI systems are in fact just massive calculators. I think I've worked out what to do to be as clever as ChatGPT. I need to read everything on the internet.
This guy's analogy really doesn't hold much water, right? Because, for instance, with a calculator, right? Like a basic calculator, you know? You can't just say to it, hey, I want you to calculate this thing based upon this data. You can't do that, right? You have to input each and every number, each and every calculation. That's just how calculators work. But with AI, you give AI a massive data set and say, here, try and come to a conclusion about this question using this data set, right? It's very open-ended, and there's so many different applications and things like that. That's, I think, why it's an important thing for us to discuss. And yeah, I don't know. You hate the traffic lights between home and work? Maybe we can get that fixed with AI for you.
Let's say a student realized that rather than reading one book a day, they could just hold a book in each hand and read 2 books a day. Then the next day they ask their engineer friend, and the engineer friend builds a contraption so they can read 10 books in a day. They read them all at the same time. The next day they do this with 1,000, and they read them all. Okay, humans are not very good at remembering things, but imagine you could plug USB sticks into your brain and pop some information on there every now and again. Humans, and especially Cambridge students, are already great at combining and pattern matching all that information. Okay, final setup. You're reading every book and article ever written at the same time. You have 1,000 32-gigabyte USB sticks plugged into your head. The reason AI has gotten really good in the last couple of years is because some scientists realized how to read a lot of books at the same time. Regardless of your support for the motion tonight, I encourage you to stop seeing AI, as I suspect the House sees it, things like ChatGPT, as the sentient, conscious, emotional agent it's so tempting to do. Instead, think of it as
all the processors are, just very fast calculators. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that at all. But I would also say that, you know, processors have been around for a long time, but our sense of AGI, or artificial intelligence, is very much more recent, right? And you were never able, up until recently, to be able to ask your computer without setting a shit ton of parameters to ask it a question, right? That wasn't already pre-programmed, right? Or didn't have some sort of reference online for a different data set to be able to answer those sorts of questions, right?
calculator that's really good at reading lots of books at the same time with lots of USB sticks to save all of that knowledge.
Canada is nothing but a giant hockey rink. Wow. We have a lot of Canadians in chat. I wonder how that's gonna sit with all of them.
I don't think I need to convince you that AI can be used and has the potential to be used for so much good. But before I jump into the worrying, allow me to remind you. Early detection of cancer, already being revolutionized. It's already enabling us to identify astonishingly complex patterns to tackle climate crisis. And it's already being deployed to spot fake news. Okay. I don't think people in this house, I don't think that's...
AI, yeah. I mean, phones have absolutely had assistants. Siri, what's the one for Android right now? I can't even think of it. But no, absolutely. But they've always been taking references from the internet, right? It's basically just saying it like interprets what you're saying, turns that into a Google query, and then searches it and returns the top ranked searches to you.
People in this house are worrying about. I suppose you're worried about the dissemination of fake news to influence elections, say. Or so-called recursive self-improvement, where the calculator teaches itself to get better and better, which could spiral out of control. Fake news flooding Facebook
Alexa,
and
thank
influencing
you.
our elections. I think there's two parts to it. The first is about power. And we heard about power from Connor.
I didn't even see you sneak in here, bad lefty.
Big tech companies have far too much power. Power-hungry humans.
Jessica?
Yeah.
So if I
Oh
had
shit,
life,
Jessica.
if I was in charge.
Jessica, indeed. Good point, Robot Cat. There's your Jessica. Make sure I got it on both screens here. There we go. Jessica engaged.
Of dealing with the global economy, like 50% of the global economy, and the knife also read all the books in human history and could come up with answers about anything I ask in a coherent manner, I would be worried about that knife. Thank you.
Shit,
Thank you for the question.
I didn't hear what he said.
I think I'd be worried about that knife too. Yeah.
So if I had a knife that was in charge of dealing with the global economy, like 50% of the global economy, and the knife also read all the books in human history and could come up with answers about anything I ask in a coherent manner, I would be worried about that knife. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think I'd be worried about that knife too. I think.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Honestly, it feels like that that one dude chilling in the audience just kind of ripped him apart in a very short period of time. Oh my god, Bad Lefty's gone rogue. For the love of everything holy. What is happening? Okay, what's next? Oh, we're gonna quickly watch this from 9 hours ago. This is kind of what prompted me to look at all this. Due to the fact that this sort of stuff is coming out. This is from good old CNBC, aka the shittiest of the NBCs. The race to regulate AI. Say regulation, my ears perk up.
Artificial intelligence is already changing business in the United States.
And just to be clear, the reason why my ears perk up whenever you say regulation is because I immediately start to be concerned about who is regulating what and why. Just because I'm so skeptical about what's been happening lately, you know? Like in the South regarding abortion and voting rights and what else am I missing? Oh, but stuff. Lots of stuff. Alright, let's go back to this here.
Researchers estimate that about 60% of jobs in advanced economies could be impacted by AI.
And like the other thing is like I feel like we need like so much more regulation on social media that just doesn't exist right now, and is because you know, most of Congress doesn't seem to be equipped to handle the questions of how we regulate it, and it's very frustrating. So when they start talking about it, I'm like, okay, let's see what have they come to now.
All technological revolutions, I expect there to be significant impact on jobs.
Yeah, see,
I think if
they
this
get
technology goes
Sam
wrong,
Altman in.
it can go quite wrong.
Some companies are already seeing the effects.
It basically does the job of 700 full-time agents, and it's happening probably at an unprecedented pace compared to some other industrial revolutions that we've seen historically.
There will be a time in the future where robots can do most of what humans currently do. We're not there yet. And shame on us if we end up using it to make people worse off.
Congress so far has focused on research and risk assessment across at least 15 laws on the subject. But experts say there's more work to be done.
I've come to the conclusion that it's impossible for Congress to keep up with the speed of technology.
Right now, their goal is to basically come up with what's going to be a to-do list for future years.
As the development of AI speeds up, politicians are looking into robot taxes.
So yeah, chat, don't get too excited. They aren't even close to regulating. They're like they're contemplating the idea of maybe regulating, depending on what big business tells them.
32-hour work weeks, deepfake mitigation, and robocalls to confront the looming risks. Will the US government be able to control AI tools? Artificial intelligence is making workers more productive.
Productivity comes
Bullshit.
from improvements in technology. The steam engine was a big technology.
I was going to pause it before they started talking complete bullshit, but the second that they start trying to delve into it, they come at it from the good old CNBC perspective of business. And they're like, oh, it's making everybody so much more productive. It's like, no, it's adding to the bottom line of corporations, mostly. Some people are managing to become more productive, but at what cost? What the fuck am I doing next? What and when and where and why?
Jesus, I say that.
Okay. To move us from tech onto environmental related stuff. Wait, how far are we in right now? An hour and a half. And how much? Where are we? Yeah, no, we'll keep it going for now. Okay. First video here, kind of moving us on to, although this isn't really environmental as much as it is space related. This is a Reuters article from 13 hours ago, entitled "Hopping Space Robot Will Help Us Explore Asteroids." This is a space hopper. hopping robot that can explore low-gravity environments like those on asteroids or moons.
There are loads of reasons actually to explore small bodies like asteroids or moons. We might find traces of origins of life, for example, on asteroids or small moons. We might find cues about how our solar system evolved. The idea is that locomotion on low-gravity bodies like asteroids or moons is quite challenging, right? Especially for classic wheeled systems. So we had the idea to rather use a hopping robot, which can then not only use the legs for hopping, but also to control its attitude while it's hopping, like while it's flying, and to have this controlled locomotion in this tricky environment.
Researchers designed Space Hopper with 3 legs to move in any direction. 9 motors allow it to jump large distances and to control its altitude and landings.
It's basically doing
That
what
thing
a
moves
cat
real
is doing
creepy.
when a cat is jumping down. So it's using its legs and the inertia of its legs to keep its body upright, or try to get its body into a predefined orientation that would then be safe for landing again.
Okay, cool. Moving along. Alright. Let's actually get into this by watching part of this Climate Town documentary. If you're not already, I would definitely recommend subscribing to this channel. This is entitled Natural Gas is Scamming America.
Electricity.
Damn, that's loud.
Lightning in a bottle. The devil's juice. Thor piss. Nah, I had it with the devil's juice.
Yeah.
I almost never think about it when it's working. But when my electricity goes out for even a minute, it is a Hindenburg-level tragedy.
Straight up
Now,
apocalyptic.
15 years ago, a lot of the power to make this electricity would have come from coal. Dirty, polluting, frankly rude coal. And that would have made me sick. But nowadays, I don't have to be sick, or even feel bad about it at all, because there's a new #1 electricity producer in America.
What?
I'm talking about natural gas. And even better,
So bold
everybody
strategy,
loves
Cotton.
it.
Let's see if
Not
it pays
just
off
those
for 'em.
brave patriots who refuse to cook on anything else.
They decided gas-powered stoves racist and have to go.
I have actually taped myself to my stove. I've been here for 24 hours now.
GOP
Jesse
thrusts
Waters
gas
is such a
stoves, Biden's
freaking
green
goblin.
agenda into the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars.
Probably true. See, conservatives love how natural gas comes from our own domestic sources. And hello, bipartisanship, all those godless commie liberals are also on Team Natural Gas because it led to this incredible decrease in our carbon dioxide emissions. And if you're just looking at this graph, you might be tempted to think switching from coal to natural gas was great for the climate. But unfortunately, the House of Natural Gas was built on the foundation of ignoring one critical aspect. Gas has a tendency to leak. And you might find yourself asking, so what? You know, so some of the gas doesn't make it to the power plant, who cares? But the thing about natural gas is that it's mostly made up of methane. That's the part that explodes so nice. And we probably shouldn't even call it natural gas, because the word natural implies that it's maybe good or clean burning or something, when really it's almost entirely methane, which is a greenhouse gas, meaning when it gets in the atmosphere, it absorbs the heat that was escaping into space and sends it right back down to warm up the planet, just like CO2.
That's hot.
Except it's actually not just like CO2, because methane can trap 80 times more heat than carbon dioxide in a 20-year period. It's like when LeBron James was playing high school basketball. He was 6'8", and they are 95 pounds soaking wet. So yeah, when you're just comparing coal and natural gas, aka methane, at the power plant, gas generates a little less than half the CO2 that coal does. But when you take into account the many methane leaks at the wellheads and the processing plants and the compressor stations and the 3 million miles of pipelines, natural gas's climate impacts in the US are right back in coal territory, baby. And we don't even know the full extent of the damage gas has caused, because leaks are really hard to detect. and the primary method the US government used to account for leaks was to ask the oil and gas companies how much methane they were leaking and then take their word for it.
This is me when I hear that phrase. Oh yeah, you took the methane driller's words for it. That's smart. That's a good plan.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
For fuck's sake. Okay. I would recommend you go watch that whole thing. It's fascinating and very well researched. It's also 40 minutes long, so we're not going to watch the whole thing today. Especially because I feel like we do have some other, somehow, equally, in fact, maybe more pressing-ish news. Although the environment always feels pressing every fucking day. Yeah. Okay, next. 1 day ago, salmon fishing is banned off the California coast for the second year in a row amid low stocks.
For the second year in a row, ocean salmon fishing will not be happening. The Pacific Fishery Management Council made that decision for 2024 for the fishing season. They made that decision this week.
KRON 4's Rob Nesbitt spoke with a scientist from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. He joins us live in studio now with more on what's causing the low population of fish. Rob.
Noel and Grant, 2019 and 2020 were bad drought years in California, and last year we started to see the impacts of that on the state's salmon population. The Department of Fish and Wildlife says it will take a few years for the fish to benefit from the improved water supply of today. California once had millions of salmon in its rivers, streams, and oceans. Last year, there were so few that commercial fishing season was closed. And after a Wednesday vote by the Pacific Fishery Management Council, it's happening again. Senior environmental scientist with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, Candace Morgenstern, explained how drought years in 2019 and 2020 resulted in this year's closure.
Those salmon that spawned in those drought years were impacted. The juveniles that were out migrating, low survival rates due to warm water conditions, low flow.
Morgenstern says a decision was already made to close salmon fishing for the start of the season. Wednesday's vote sealed the fate for the rest of 2024. Skoma's restaurant in San Francisco hosted an event Thursday for those in the salmon fishing industry.
Now, one thing I'm going to point out to people, because I can't remember if they said it already or if they interviewed this guy later, but I'm just going to move it along. The fact is that while in theory, it should help repopulate the salmon population. There are some issues with that in relating to the food chain in the ocean, with the warming ocean and the supply for the fish, as well as the environment in which they live in. If we don't fix that, they're going to continue to struggle, right? Granted, overfishing is a huge part of it, so I'm not going to suggest that it's not. Because, yeah, the theory of letting the stocks replenish is, in fact, something that's worked for millennia with humans, right? But if you apply the same techniques and don't apply the current statistics and the current state of the oceans, then you might be putting yourselves in a lurch. And by yourselves, I mean ourselves. I just feel more comfortable talking about it in a... What's it called? That's not third person. What is that? Whatever. You know what I'm saying. Moving along. Let's just look at this one quickly as well. This is from a day ago. Also in the Bay Area. Yeet for you Bay Area people. Vegetation fire burns island in Delta.
We're beginning with breaking news right now as there's a vegetation fire that has started on a rural island in the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta that's just north of Antioch. This is time-lapse video from just the last hour, and you can see the smoke there starting to rise into the sky.
What is a salmon tuna is not a thing. That doesn't exist. It's just a tuna fish that stop saying nonsense stuff.
It's unclear what fire department is responsible for this area. The Contra Costa County Fire Protection District is saying they're looking into this fire and monitoring it, but they noted to us it's not their jurisdiction. A CAL FIRE spokesperson said that the agency is also not responding to this. The fire could be in one of 3 counties, either Sacramento, Contra Costa, or San Joaquin.
I found fascinating about this video is that by the end of it, you had no clue whose responsibility it was. And according to the people who you would assume it was, they had all said, no, it's not on us. And while we're watching footage of an active fire, it's like, no, it's not. That's not in our hood, dude. No, that's not on us. No, you get to give that to somebody else, okay? Okay, we're busy over here. Can't you see? Okay. Just because I thought this documentary was so good, we're going to do this again. So, bucket. This is from our
At a wet
changing
bulb
climate.
temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, the human body starts to break down. Organs turn off, the kidneys begin to fail, and no amount of sweat can cool you down. It's 42 degrees across Uttar Pradesh in India. A prolonged heat wave bakes the cities and their surrounding landscape throughout the region. The scorching air is inescapable as blackouts roll through cities, rendering air conditioning useless. The elders are the first to go. And as the days stretch on under the oppressive humidity and heat, the young start to fall with them. Hyperthermia and lack of sleep brings a slow death as people flock to bodies of water to cool off. But even the promise of water on skin is dashed by the heat. The lake is now just a large hot tub, no longer providing that cool escape. Tens of millions die in the heat wave. As the present breaks off into a million strands of potential futures, this is one such future we could face. One envisioned in the first chapter of Kim Stanley Robinson's speculative climate fiction book, The Ministry for the Future.
Okay.
Take a deep breath in and breathe it out. Wherever you are, feel the ground beneath you. These
we've definitely watched
catastrophic
this before,
scenarios are a lot to take in, but take heart that these are just potential futures. They have not yet come to pass. Remember that these pathways are some of the worst case scenarios. There's a 5 to 10% chance that these futures happen. We have a very real chance of stopping them. So instead of sinking deep into despair about these catastrophic futures, use them to galvanize you into action. Because of recent climate commitments, China and the US's mobilization of renewable capacity, and the fact that now in 90% of the world it is cheaper to install renewables than fossil fuel plants, the current models chart out 2.7 degrees.
Okay. Yes, we've definitely watched it. We're just watching it again, partially because I think that the message is so effective, and it is just I think it's important for us to keep things in perspective, that we can technically still affect our future, right? Those numbers aren't bad. It's just that we are on a terrible path and we need to change it immediately. The longer we go, and I think it's just good at just sort of essentially giving us that sort of framework of, here's a possibility of a fucking catastrophic future. Here's the reality. Here's the, here's the mindset you should have. Okay. But we've got more to look at. More to look at here. This is from a day ago. Invasive mosquitoes detected in San Jose neighborhood.
An invasive mosquito that carries deadly viruses for humans has been discovered in the South Bay. Santa Clara County Vector Control says the mosquitoes were found in an East San Jose neighborhood. Quad 4 Soup Gall reports on what can be done now to eliminate these bugs.
this adult female Aedes aegypti mosquito that we collected from Machado Lane last week.
Machado Lane is in an East San Jose neighborhood and County of Santa Clara Vector Control District ecologist Dr. Taylor Kelly says this is one of 6 Aedes aegypti mosquitoes found during the district's regular surveillance program in traps set across the community.
They are sort of a beautiful mosquito, so they have these sort of iridescent white scales, black and white legs, which people may be able to recognize if they're getting bit. And then they also have this beautiful lyre pattern on their back.
Dr. Kelly stresses
This
the
lady
public,
likes
though,
mosquitoes
to
a
not
little
get
too
lost
much.
in their beauty. Make no mistake, this non-native species of mosquito is aggressive, bites during the day, prefers humans, and can transmit several viruses that cause deadly diseases.
Zika virus, chikungunya, dengue, and even yellow fever diseases.
Vector Control District Manager Nair Zahiri says much like in Contra Costa County, Aedes aegypti was discovered in Santa Clara County in 2022, and due to a quick response and cooperation from the community, Vector Control crews were able to eradicate the mosquitoes by getting rid of any standing water.
When does Cisco happen? Cisco is always happening. Okay, so like, there's no time that Cisco isn't happening. Like right now, if we were to say, do this, blam, Cisco in your face, you know? Cisco, he's here. He's like, you want a drink, So Life?
County of Santa Clara Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency Director Edgar Nolasco says his team is working with the State Department of Public Health.
Yeah,
to
this is in
determine
San
how
Jose,
the mosquitoes
California.
Returned to the South Bay, likely transported in some type of container or vehicle. The species is present in 19 of the state's 58 counties.
Okay. Uh-oh. I hear the space police coming for me. What did I do? I'm just here telling people about the things that are happening. It's not illegal. Okay, no, they left. It's about time somebody goes after Jeff Bezos up here, causing all these problems. Cisco's not there. Thong Song not engaged. Get GTFO, chat. You were just literally looking at Cisco. You can't tell me that this man right here is not Cisco. Okay? He's got the mic. He's got his mic. He's tending bar at the same time. Okay? Shaking those drinks. Shaken, not stirred. And then, you know, he's like running like a karaoke or some other sort of fun event. He's here. He's watching. He's got TVs right here. You see him? See him when we play videos? He sees what we see. He's with us in spirit at all times. Actually, that's a turtle. Interesting. I don't have an answer to that. There are turtles. Okay. This is from a channel I've never seen before. But I found this to be interesting. This is from a day ago. The terrifying reason why tornadoes are changing.
They're striking earlier than ever before.
I realized that this was going to be a historic event.
They're getting stronger.
Is there anybody else in there with you? Do you need help? Is there anybody else down here?
And they're striking places they've never been.
If you're living north of Tornado Alley, sometime in the future, tornadoes will start showing up on your doorstep.
Tornadoes are changing. The events of one tragic day will tell us why. A terrifying glimpse of the future that holds the key to saving lives.
Hold on, I'm gonna move this.
they begin to spin. Tornado expert Robin Tanamachi has a simple way to demonstrate what happens next.
What we have right now is a very unstable arrangement. You can see we've got this very dense, heavy water up in the upper chamber, and the lower chamber is filled with air, which is much less dense than the water. And the air wants to go up into the upper chamber, the water wants to come down.
Scale this instability up a few thousand times, and you get vast thunderclouds called supercells, the birthplace of tornadoes. Compared to regular thunderstorms,
We should build
they
better
can
houses.
span 20
You're right.
miles across and tower twice the height of
America's
Mount Everest.
a lot of paper houses, unfortunately.
Supercells are the most ferocious of all thunderstorms. But the energy in the storm needs an outlet. The cold air wants to sink, and the warm air wants to rise.
Okay, well, this video goes on forever. It's like an hour long. But the main point is that tornadoes are going to continue to increase in occurrence and in ferocity, or like in intensity, I guess is the word, due to the fact that air is getting warmer, and just extremes of cold and warm air happening at the same time. Like we saw, I think it was like last year, or earlier, was it earlier this year? Fuck, I can't even remember, but there was like a big Arctic front that went across the US during the winter, as well as a warm front that was coming up from the Gulf Coast, and some of the tornadoes from that were insane, and they were well before anybody expected tornado season, or when it usually happens. But this documentary basically goes into how they are happening more and more frequently in times that are unexpected. But damn, people are racing spaceships up here. What was I doing? Okay, moving along. What is fueling Mexico City's water crisis?
Following up on a story we covered a few weeks ago, Mexico City, one of the world's most populated cities at nearly 22 million people, could run out of water in just months. It's being referred to as day zero, and experts warn it could happen in June. An ongoing drought and poor infrastructure in the region has fueled the crisis, and there are not a lot of solutions. Florencia Gonzalez-Guerra joins us now from Mexico City. She's an investigative video journalist who's been following the situation. Florencia, it's great to have you. What happens, though, when day zero actually comes?
Hi, Elena. Thank you very much to talk about this matter that is crucial for Mexico. Well, what will happen? To be honest, we've been facing this problem since 2009. Because the scarcity of water in Mexico has begun since probably 2009. Because actually right now we're facing a drought because we have a meteorological problem known as El Niño, the Southern Oscillation problem. And this is a phenomenon that causes irregular variations in winds and sea surfaces. But the problems we are already facing since 2009 is a lack of water that has like temporary solutions, including supply water through pipelines, cutting or reducing flow when there is a shortage in dams, and even cloud bombing. However, these actions do not represent a systemic solution.
Well, I want to ask you not only about those solutions and why they're so difficult, but how tourism plays into this water shortage.
How tourism?
Yes.
Yes, the problem with tourism is heavily relies on water resources because on average, a tourist uses between 3 to 4 times more water than a resident, which accounts for 300 to 400 liters per day. But it's worth noting that some cities, hotels, and tourist areas have preferential access to water, while the local population might not have the same access to water in terms of quality and quantity. And you know that right now we are facing a problem of gentrification and tourism in Mexico City. So we have a really bad problem of inequality in the water distribution.
Yep. Yeah, it's not just bottling companies that are going to Mexico, and they are doing it. People, I believe, like Poland Springs have facilities in different places in Mexico, stripping the country of its resources for profit. Cape Town. Oh yeah, we've talked about the water crisis happening in South Africa, which is also to some degree a problem of inequality of distribution of resources, just like she said. Yeah. Can we all just be nicer to each other, please? Okay. Oh, it was Nestle, not sorry. Oh, so sorry, Poland Springs. Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. Did not mean to defame the good name of Poland Springs, who's taking water from other places for profit. Mostly America, I think. Yeah. This is actually, we're going to end the sort of, what do you call it, environmental news here with this short piece from BBC from a year ago, because I like watching these videos from different time periods to give us a clue as to where we are in the timeline of this current environmental catastrophe that we're all facing. And in a way, I think I'm doing it to at least keep us apprised of exactly how urgent we should be considering this to be.
The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has hailed a major new report on climate change as a survival guide for humanity. Climate scientists from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said that clean energy and technology can be exploited to avoid the growing climate disaster. But they also warned a key global temperature goal will probably be missed. They say the world is expected to warm above 1.5 degrees Celsius by the early 2030s. Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has been speaking at the launch of the IPCC report and said everyone needs to work together quickly to achieve the climate change goals.
Today, I am presenting a plan to supercharge efforts to achieve this climate solidarity pact through an all-hands-on-deck acceleration agenda. It starts with parties immediately hitting the fast-forward button on their net zero deadlines to get to global net zero by 2050. Leaders of developed countries must commit to reaching net zero as close as possible to 2040, the limit they should all aim to respect. This can be done.
Now, just for context, this was once again from last year at this time, and the data from 2024 has only been even more concerning than the data from 2023 and 2022 was. So, you down with the IPCC? Oh God, you so life, killing it, pal.
So hot right now. So hot right now. So hot right now. So hot right now. So hot right now.
Okay, what's next? Oh, actually, this is a good spot. Yeah, okay. Okie dokie. Well, I hope everybody's been enjoying the stream so far. About 2 hours in here, gonna take a quick intermission. But before I leave you in the hands of the mods, Cisco, and the rest of the people here chilling at Galactic Space Pool, I'm gonna do a little bit of self-promo here. If you're looking for ways to support me and the Galactic News Network, you got a few options. You can like the stream, you can subscribe to the channel, or if you want to go above and beyond, you can spend a few dollars a month to become a Galactic patron, where all sorts of space benefits await you. Alright, chat. Grab a drink. I'll be right back.
So hot right now.
That's hot.
Don't be creepy. Don't be creepy.
It's a bold strategy, Cop. Let's see if it pays off for him.
What else we got here? Okay. Do we watch this today? How far are we in now? 2 hours 15. You have to do your taxes. Yeah. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Why is my mic making fucked up sounds? Sorry, chat. Hold on. Just don't quite appreciate what my mic is doing. I did not like those sounds one bit. Okay. Do we watch this right now? I think that's where I'm stuck right now. Do we start with, go back into this right here, or do we just move on? No, let's watch a little bit of this. Let's just, let's do this. Let's do this now. I guess we could save it for tomorrow. Tomorrow's technically Sunday Fun Day. Although this isn't really technically fun. It's just more fun than genocide and actual wars. Fucking hell. Such a conundrum. How much is left after that? I don't know. Time is it? It's not even midnight. Oh, that's crazy. We're never this far before midnight. It's very, very shocking. It says you owe money to the government right now. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate news. I'm just gonna sit here thinking. Oh, the music's off. Alright, fuck it. What do you say, chat? One's in chat if you want to discuss American hegemony in Central America. Or 2, if you would like to move on to the Middle East immediately. Because we got time. We got time. You're a poor, you've never owed money? Yeah, it doesn't sound right. I'm not seeing 1s or 2s. So, you know what? I'm just going to go straight into the... I'm not straight into it. I'm going to... Let's do a little bit of Latin American related history, which is what this is. This is Chris Hedges' podcast, although actually, no, I don't think Chris Hedges is on this one, but this is the Real News Network from a day ago. The gringo who tried to rule Central America. Wait, who broke Goth? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Shit, I always forget they
this,
have.
This episode is going to start a little bit different than what I had imagined.
There we go.
Because I just arrived to this farmhouse kind of on the west end of Rivas, which is one of the main cities here in southern Nicaragua. Huge volcano overlooking. This is kind of on the edge of Lake Nicaragua, the southern side, right? The farmhouse itself is just there's this big grassy knoll all around it. Some old cannons sitting outside. And this is kind of one of the most historic places here. The farmhouse itself is made of adobe, wooden roofs, clay tiles, you know, that's so traditional of this era, right? And what's fascinating here is I just arrived and there's the National Youth Symphony from Rivas is just setting up to practice this afternoon. They practice here on every Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. We're all sitting in. They're just about to start playing. There's all these old wagon wheels, metal wagon wheels, kind of sitting on the side, and the grass stretches around. But the city of Rivas has really kind of engulfed the farmhouse. This is kind of the only thing left on this hill. But the reason why this is so important, this farmhouse itself, is because it was here that William Walker, you know, the U.S. filibuster, came in, invaded Nicaragua with a few dozen men, and this is one of the first places he came to when he first invaded Nicaragua on his plan to...
By the way, you have to see this guy. This is nuts. This dude straight up looks like Jared Kushner, I swear to God. Not kidding, chat. I mean, it's not a one-to-one, but like, look at this picture. Tell me that right there isn't... Tell me that's not Jared Kushner right there. Come on. Come on, chat.
take over and control the country. There's a whole library in the back here, which I didn't see before.
The year was 1855. William Walker, a physician and lawyer from Nashville, Tennessee, would not only invade Nicaragua with a small army of mercenaries, but he would take over and rule the country, not on behalf of the U.S. military or even in the name of the United States, but in the spirit of Manifest Destiny. It was only the first part in his plan to conquer all of Central America, and Walker was not the only...
You want to see the picture again? You missed it? Oh. Here, I'll do it longer. I guess I moved quickly. I moved a little quickly. I didn't even switch over. Perfect. Yeah, so his name is William Walker, and he was an American physician, lawyer, journalist, and mercenary. Oh shit. I just clipped the fuck out of my microphone just now. Sorry, chat. And in the era of the expansion of the United States, driven by the doctrine of Manifest Destiny, Walker organized unauthorized military expeditions into Mexico and Central America with the intention of establishing slaveholding colonies. No video. Yes, I realized that. Jared Kushner is a crime. That's funny. Oh, I didn't switch again. Here is Jared Kushner, aka William Walker. You can't tell me this picture doesn't look like him. Like what? Come on. You can't tell me this guy doesn't look like Jared Kushner. Okay, now we're gonna fix the video. We're gonna move this back here. That's where I keep my research. It is an audio-only podcast that we are listening to.
Random guy from the United States bent on invading and conquering other countries. There was a whole movement of them, but also a movement against them that would lead to the very concept of Latin America. The Nicaraguan town of Rivas and this farmhouse on the Santa Ursula plantation would be at the center of not one but numerous battles over 2 years that would be remembered as the struggles for the true liberation of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and elsewhere. William Walker and his invasion of Nicaragua are virtually unknown in the United States today. His action...
Yeah, and if you didn't hear the lead up to this dude, William Walker, literally took like a couple of dozen people with guns, apparently, and took over an entire country, and then declared it Walkerville. Not literally Walkerville, but you get what I'm saying. Like, the nonsense of the goddamn 1800s. I swear to God. What a ridiculous time.
Shaped history, but as we will see in this episode, not in the way that he hoped to. All of that in a minute. This is Under the Shadow, a new investigative narrative podcast series that walks back in time to tell the story of the past by visiting shook countries, impacted lives, and left deep marks on the world. I'll try to discover what lingers of that history today. So, as you have probably noticed throughout the series, I have been traveling southward, from Guatemala into El Salvador, Honduras, and now today into Nicaragua. Many of the episodes have focused on the 1980s, the role of the Reagan government in backing atrocious regimes.
Too little help. Our choice will be a communist Central America.
But I've also gone further into the past to understand the Monroe Doctrine, United Fruit, and, for instance, the 1954 coup in Guatemala that would lead to the country's genocide against indigenous peoples. Today, however, I'm walking even further back in time to understand a figure and an invasion that are nearly incomprehensible today, but that left lasting repercussions, even though almost no one remembers or realizes it. One thing I do want to point out before we continue, however, is that unlike most of this podcast series, which focuses on intervention by the United States government or military abroad, this episode looks at intervention by private U.S. citizens acting on their own accord. Although the U.S. government was not directly involved, as we will see, the United States was more than happy to recognize the actions of people like Walker abroad once they took power. This is Under the Shadow, Season 1, Central America, Episode 8, Nicaragua, William Walker. So, to start this episode, we're going to step back to a moment some of you have probably heard of. The year is 1848. Gold is discovered in the hills of California. It's the start of the gold rush. By the next year, tens of thousands converge on the territory. It's not a state yet. Not until 1850. And that's where the name the 49ers comes from. You know, the football team? The 49ers were the prospectors who flooded California. San Francisco becomes a booming port town overnight. 300,000 people would move to California in the coming years with the dream of making it rich. Now, the image you probably have is of people making the trip west in covered wagons. But actually, half of those that arrived to California during those years did so over water. Steamships would transport gold seekers from New York or New Orleans to San Francisco via Panama or Nicaragua, the shortest land masses between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Remember, the Panama Canal wouldn't be built for another 60 years, but overland transit routes in both countries would shuttle people from one coast to the other. Nicaragua actually had the easiest go of it because of the huge Lake Nicaragua, the largest lake in Central America, second largest in all of Latin America. Just for comparison, Lake Nicaragua is almost 17 times the size of Lake Tahoe. Business mogul Cornelius.
Yeah, you've actually hit on an important point here, So Life. It's 10 years away from the Arizona abortion law that just got reinstated, I guess. Reinstated, is that the right word? Because I feel like it was technically in place, but just overruled by Roe until now, and now the state has resorted to that, I guess, at this point. I just thought it was interesting to talk about the context of what was happening in the Americas around that time, because I feel like I've been thinking in that time lately due to that decision recently. Yeah, we're going to just listen to a little bit more of this, and then we'll move on.
Vanderbilt set up the accessory transit company in Nicaragua to do the job. Steamers would sail to San Juan del Norte on Nicaragua's Caribbean coast. Passengers would then sail up.
1848 was that was definitely at least one of the years of the Mexican-American War. Didn't it last longer than a year? Or was it just a year?
San Juan River into the lake, cross to the town of Rivas on the other side, where a stagecoach would be waiting to take them down to the Pacific coast port town of San Juan del Sur. Costa Rican historian David Diaz says the world of the 19th century was way more globalized than we realize. Sometimes we think that globalization started at the end of the 20th century with television and internet. But this world of the 19th century, it was globalized, largely with boats over the ocean, he says. People came and went. There was the possibility of more transit because you didn't have these harsh laws restricting the transit of people between countries. He says that travelers from that period spoke of a huge diversity of people making the journey west. There was a huge number of different cultures and languages that they heard on the boats, he says. It was a very rich world there because of this type of daily contact between cultures. Vanderbilt's transit company was very soon shuttling roughly 2,000 people a day over the route, and it was not cheap. Among those who ventured west was a man named William Walker, a native of Nashville, Tennessee. He was a bit of a prodigy, a physician, a lawyer, journalist. He studied at several universities, not just in the United States, but also in Edinburgh and Heidelberg in Europe. When the gold rush kicked off, he was co-owner and editor of the New Orleans Crescent newspaper. The next year, 1849, he caught a steamer from New Orleans and shipped off to San Francisco at the age of 25. In probably the most infamous black and white picture of him from the 1850s, he stands in a tuxedo, his left arm resting on a pedestal, his short hair parted to one side, his eyes staring off into the distance. After reaching the West, he worked for a few years as an editor of the San Francisco Herald newspaper and unceremoniously fought 3 duels, but he had his sights set higher.
The random music in this is hilarious.
William Walker would not only be caught up in the fever of the gold rush, but of what would become known as filibustering. Okay, so today, a filibuster is when a legislative representative talks for a long...
Fuck, I listened to this at 2x. This is taking way longer than I remember it taking. Point is, the guy essentially... We're not going to listen to this whole thing. It's way too long. Point is, William Walker? Is that his name? William Walker, yeah. Not only did he create the filibuster and some other shitty things, but he he eventually took over Nicaragua entirely after seeing the opportunity due to the geographical location of it and the ability to enslave the local people, among other things. I think he believed that there was gold there and some other shit. That's a technical term. And yeah,
Jesus, I say that.
he was basically just a fucking dick. Installed like a puppet leader at some point, until he eventually became the first unrecognized president of Nicaragua, I believe, or the second, whatever it is. But yeah, a completely private citizen. Eventually got the backing of the United States once he was in power. They had no problem backing him then. And there was actually talk of, what's it called? Annexing Nicaragua during his time. Okay, moving on. Next. Okay, moving on to the Middle East, but by way of this sort of relaxing, not relaxing, but it's much more relaxing than the rest of these videos. Oh shit, I forgot. I just found a couple other things I need to put in here. Son of a bitch. Hold on, chat. Sorry, I gotta reload. Gotta reload.
Set higher.
No, we're done with you. We're done with you. Stop that.
William Walker would not only be caught up in the fever of the gold rush, but of what would become known
Nope
as
is watching
filibustering.
Family Feud right now. It does sound important though, so I don't want to. I don't want to get involved in that situation. Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, yeah, I thought this was the case. Will it reload if I just... I'm just gonna... You think they canceled Family Feud? That's crazy. Why would they cancel Family Feud? It's been on the air for like 50 years. Longer than I've been alive. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong. I think there's like... I feel like I've seen vintage footage of like 70s Family Feud. Okay, moving on to this documentary, short documentary from the Wall Street Journal from 5 days ago. Saudi Arabia's race to build a $22 billion railway in the desert. For entertainment purposes only.
Are you not entertained?
Right? It's infotainment.
Remarkable.
Get infotained. And honestly, I just I thought it was important for us to look at this kind of stuff as usual, because we talk about public transit constantly to help combat emissions. AC? Who is AC? AC is the anti-corporatist. What was I saying? Yeah, I just thought it was a good segue for us to look at both Middle East and public transportation video in one to help us get over to this topic. First video we have here is from 4 hours ago, and granted, a bunch of this is not up to date. Stuff has happened, and so we'll just try and keep you apprised of that as we go. 4 hours ago, Biden meeting with his national security team as U.S. pledges support for Israel against Iran. Oh, right. This is, I forgot, this is a debating video. Hold on. We're moving forward. There's literally zero... There's literally 0 words. It's just Biden getting on to whatever you call that. Helicopter 1. Yeah, let's move on to this Middle East Eye video from 6 hours ago, where Middle East Eye went into the streets and interviewed both pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protesters in London.
What do you think of the numbers on both sides?
The numbers don't mean anything, you know. I'm going to say something now.
I don't want reality.
Quantity is not quality, right? Because look at us. Israel, 7 million Jews surrounded by 600 million Muslims, Arabs, right? So please, quantity is not quality, and please, you can definitely post this one. I'm not concerned about the numbers. These people don't even know where Israel is on the map.
So what makes you come to these rallies with a pram, with a buggy? It's not easy.
I think I just want to be able to look my child in the face when she grows up and tell her, you know, I did what I could. I don't have much power, and I do what I can. That's why. Because I want to look her in the eye, and it breaks my heart knowing that there's moms that have already lost so many children.
I just can't even speak how sad it is that we're in this situation. Hundreds of 100,000 people, I don't know. Ridiculous number of people. Right, and about 50 or 100 of us, whatever.
What do you think the factors are which are maintaining this war going on for so long?
I think it's money, corruption, the world arms trade, complicity by those in positions of authority, and racism. And the fact is that we've never been able to finish up with colonialism and imperialism.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century.
Because what they did in Africa and India is continuing in Gaza today. But against that is the people of the world, millions and millions. We're out every day, every week in support of Gaza, and we want the Palestinian people to know that, because they're our people and we're their people.
Listen, I'm the sheriff of Western civilization. I'm telling the whole world, after they seen what happened in October 7th and the reaction of the whole world, covering up the truth that yes, Hamas did put babies in ovens and turn it off, and turn the oven and they left. Hamas did decapitated baby's head. They should ask themselves, do you think they deserve a two-state solution? No. You have to open up the Sinai Peninsula and give them a space there to move there. You can't live with such people.
I mean, once again, a very peaceful march from the
the two sides seem very what's the word? Like the dichotomy of the two is quite stark, I guess you would say. It just seems like a lot of like yelling about the other protesters from the Israeli side, and then people coming out for Palestine and saying, "Yeah, we just felt like we should be here, probably."
Pro-Palestinian movement, no hate much here.
Shit.
However, it's absolutely ridiculous how many police have to be here.
Sorry, chat. I hate to do this to you, but I have to pee. I guess I could just let you watch this while I pee. No, this is just an opportunity for anybody who missed it to grab a drink at the bar from Cisco. Be right back.
For tens of people who don't care about anything, don't care about justice, they literally just want to come here to wind up pro-Palestinian people and just spew bigotry, you know. And yeah, literally all of these police over here just for, you know, so 10, 30, 40 people can just shout at pro-Palestinian protesters who are trying for justice.
I think the war has gone on for so long. That's a good question. I think there's a few things. Firstly, they're not giving us back the hostages. And that's a crucial key. I don't think there will be a ceasefire without the hostages. Israelis, we care deeply about human life, all human life, and none of us wanted this war. There's been rockets being fired from Gaza for 2 decades almost, and we haven't gone in. Why? Because we don't want to. Because we're like, okay, we'll suffer through it, but we don't want to ruin it. But this was a step way too far.
We're currently on day 189 of this war, okay? What do you think it says about the UK and currently the systems going on, that there are still so many people protesting, but the government has a different perspective? What do you think that says?
Well,
It was a fast pee. Well, it's a spaceship. The bathroom isn't far from where I stream from, okay? Not a lot of steps are required for me to get to my bathroom.
it's because the West is going down, and the only way they know how to deal with it is by war. You know, instead of negotiation, you know, which should come up with an answer in governments. That's what they're there for. But because I feel there's a lot of problems with our governments in the West, that they won't do it, because the only way they can prove themselves is via war.
I would have released all the 6,000 Palestinian prisoners, even the ones with blood on their hands. I would have.
Wow. This is radical coming from this woman.
Released them, put them all in Gaza, get the hostages back, and then start with the ground invasion. This is what I would have done. But, you know, it took 2 or 3 weeks for the ground invasion to start. And if that's what they felt like, they had to put military pressure on Hamas to release the hostages. And it did work at first, you know. They released the 50 hostages. In return, I think it was 150, which is actually quite appalling for in Hamas achievements, because usually you get the rates are higher. So clearly it worked, the military pressure at first.
So we're asking people today at the protest what...
Okay, moving along from that protest. Airlock still broken. I just haven't taken the note down. Is the note bothering you? I can take the note down. It's fixed. The airlock's fixed, okay? What if I did that? If I just take it off, would that make you happy? See, that bothers me. I just want it here, because I don't have a trash can nearby. So I'm just going to leave it. I'll change it later to something else that's important. Okay, what the fuck am I doing now? They fumbled the 2-yarder for a touchdown. Okay, 1 day ago from Reuters. This one is rough. Let's get into the Gaza shit. Children play in rubble of Gaza for Eid holiday. This one's rough. Yet somehow they look so happy. Children in Gaza play in a makeshift seesaw during an Eid holiday dominated by war. As you can see here at the Jabalia refugee camp, mass destruction. There is an atmosphere of Eid of the joy that comes with it. As you can see, children are playing with the rubble and the rocks, and I am entertaining them. This kid's got a high opinion of himself. It is me. I am the one entertaining them. Although I do like his optimism. Why? Chat, you are my favorite, and I love you. Okay, moving on. Let's start with this, then we'll get to current. We're coming in close. This is from 8 hours ago. Iran's Revolutionary Guard seizes Israeli container ship amid tensions.
A White House official says that the U.S. is adjusting its posture in the Middle East as it monitors tensions between Israel and Iran. For analysis, we are joined now by CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd for our weekly national security recap. So, Sam, let's just start off. What are Iran's capabilities?
Well, the U.S. intelligence community estimates that Iran has access to the largest ballistic missile stockpile in the region. At the same time, Iran and its proxies have a large stockpile of cruise missiles, rockets, and other forms of aerial projectiles like drones. Now, if we look at Israel, Israel has a sophisticated and multi-layered air defense system that is designed to mitigate those aerial projectiles at various altitudes and at various speeds. Israel has a large arsenal of weapons that it can use to inflict damage in the region as well, and that's exactly why there's such intense diplomacy to try to de-escalate the situation. Now, we know that there are a series of risks to Americans in the region, namely at military facilities and at embassies and consulates. And the U.S. government right now is regularly assessing what additional assets may be needed to protect
I just
those
realized
Americans
why
overseas,
this is not what I
and
thought it was
whether
gonna
to
be.
draw down, for example.
Hold on, chat. I totally debated you. Not even the right video. Let's go on to the actual video I just talked about.
Israel is bracing for a possible direct attack by Iran in retaliation for a strike that killed several military officers in Iran's embassy in Syria. U.S. President Joe Biden says that attack could happen sooner rather than later. To help us break down the situation in the Middle East, we're joined by Sean McFate, who's an expert on national security and foreign policy, an acclaimed author and professor of national defense strategy at Syracuse University. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so Israel hasn't officially claimed responsibility for attacking the consulate, but Iran wants revenge, and this would mark a serious escalation in the war in the Middle East. How did these two nations get here, and do you think Iran will retaliate?
Well, this has been a long time coming. Israel and Iran have been basically at each other's throats since the early 1980s, when Iran created Hezbollah in Lebanon to defeat Israel. And Israel has had a long strategy of using proxies like...
This guy is kind of an idiot. But hold on, let's... I could have sworn there's a spot in here where they genuinely get into the discussion about this fucking... I don't... Why do I have it in my head? You know, fuck this video. We're moving on. Honestly, I'm going to skip this next one too because shit has popped off since all this happened. But just know that Iran, and now I'm doing it, Iran's Revolutionary Guard did seize an Israeli container ship, and I believe it was the Red Sea. Wait, was it the Red Sea? I could be wrong on that sea. But that's not the important part of it. But yeah, we're gonna skip this one because shit has popped off since then. Starting here, I guess, 7 hours ago, Iran has launched drones at Israel. Will take hours to arrive, according to the Israeli military. Get us there.
Countries do that.
Although I kind of want to watch this. You know what? Hold on, chat. I might go back one just because I want us to watch part of this discussion. Even though some of this stuff has already changed, some of the analysis is worthwhile. So watch this Al Jazeera report real quick.
Iran is threatening retaliation for the Israeli attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria. The US talks up the possibility of an imminent strike by Tehran and vows to defend Israel. How dangerous is the situation and what's the risk of a wider conflict? This is Inside Story. Hello there, I'm James Bays. Iran has promised a response to Israel's recent attack on its consulate in the Syrian capital Damascus. The US says it has intelligence that an attack is imminent and vows to defend Israel. For his entire political career, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has labelled Iran as his #1 enemy. While leading a disastrous and brutal war in Gaza, killing and wounding more than 100,000 Palestinians, he's facing grave political threats at home. A criminal prosecution on fraud charges awaits if he's turfed out of office. Israel's military and political establishment and virtually everyone else will be fully aware that the Israeli strike against an Iranian diplomatic building could not have come at a more dangerous time. So what's next? What are the threats not just to the region but to the wider world? And can diplomacy calm things down? We'll be analysing the situation in full with our panel of guests in a few moments. But first, this report from Victoria Gatenby.
The bombing of Iran's consulate building in Syria earlier this month marked a new stage in what's often described as a shadow war between Iran and Israel. Among the dead pulled from the rubble in Damascus were Revolutionary Guards, including one of Iran's highest-ranking officers, Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Zahedi. He was in charge of Iran's Quds forces in Lebanon and Syria. Iran's supreme leader has threatened to retaliate.
The wicked Zionist regime made another mistake and staged an attack on Iran's consulate, which means an attack on the country's soil, a violation of international norm. It made a mistake, and the regime needs to be punished and will be punished.
Wow. The Israeli army is on high alert. The Lebanese armed group Hezbollah launched more than 50 rockets from southern Lebanon towards Upper Galilee in northern Israel and the occupied Golan Heights on Friday. Israel launched a series of airstrikes in southern Lebanon in response. US President Joe Biden says he expects Iran to attack Israel sooner rather than later.
Mr. President, to Iran in this moment.
Don't. We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed.
Analysts say Iran will likely respond in a way that deters Israel from similar attacks in the future, but avoids military escalation that could draw in the United States.
Even if they do respond, it's very likely going to be with some level of coordination to make sure that it doesn't escalate. Potentially. We actually don't know what's going to happen. But I think if you want to avert a wider war, then it has to be calculated to not necessarily involve taking the lives of soldiers.
Military confrontation would have serious and widespread global economic consequences, given the region's importance to energy supplies and shipping routes. And there are fears the situation could lead to broader conflict in an already volatile region. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera for Inside Story.
Okay. Now we're going to move on, as shit has popped off since this video first showed up in my feed. Let's go to this from Al Jazeera from 7 hours ago. Iran has launched drones at Israel. Will take hours to arrive. Keep doing it now.
To take our viewers live to Israel, listen to the Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari.
Aware of it, you need to be alert and follow instructions of the domestic front. So we know such threats and we have dealt with them in the past. So once you hear the sirens and the alarms, you need to head to the shelters and you need to stay there for at least 10 minutes, no less than that. And you would be informed if you need to stay longer. We would like to ask you to not to spread any rumors. You need to seek your information from the military and official platforms. I will keep you updated.
Hold on, sorry, chat. I just realized that I have it on 1.25 still.
Latest developments. Whoopsies. I would like to stress the importance of following instructions and guidelines. Our military is well ready, on readiness throughout all its branches. We are in close coordination with the United States and our partners in the region to work against such launches and drop them down. We are on high alert and readiness. By our Air Force. We also have other defense platforms. Our Air Force is excellent and on high readiness. However, we need to remember that defenses are not 100% effective. However, we need to follow all instructions by the domestic front. Question.
Okay. Continuing forward. And I'm sure you've all heard this already, most likely, but if you haven't, Iran has officially launched those drone attacks as well as missiles. And let's listen to this video describing even in more detail what's happening. From BBC.
Breaking news: in a major escalation of the crisis in the Middle East, Iran has started a direct attack on Israel, by launching dozens of drones to attack targets there. They're expected to reach Israel in the next couple of hours. Israel says its armed forces are on full alert with combat planes in the air. Iran has said it wants revenge for a suspected Israeli attack almost 2 weeks ago on its consulate in Damascus, when the US, President Joe Biden, has cut short his weekend to return to the White House for briefings on the crisis. Well, in a moment, we'll get the very latest from Washington and our correspondent there, Will Vernon. First, though, let's go straight to James Landale, who's live for us in Jerusalem tonight. And James, this is an attack that Israel has been expecting for several days now.
Yeah, that's right, Ben. Ever since that attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria, there's been growing speculation that Iran will have to respond in some way. There's been talk about different types of attack, but it now appears that attack is underway. Military spokesmen here in Israel say that drones have now been launched from Iran. They are directed towards Israel. There have been reports from Iraq of many drones being seen in the sky. The Israeli spokesman said that those drones will take some hours before they reach their target here. And he says that he's confident that Israel's air defenses will shoot them down. Earlier today, just before this attack was formally confirmed, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave an address to the nation saying that his country would overcome all its enemies.
Israeli citizens. In recent years, and even more so in recent weeks, Israel has been preparing for the possibility of a direct attack from Iran. Our defense systems are deployed. We are prepared for any scenario, both in defense and attack. The state of Israel is strong, the IDF is strong, and the public is strong.
Wow. Okay. Now, as you heard there, the Israelis at the moment are just talking about drones, but the Iranian Revolutionary Guards have put out a statement saying that they are attacking with drones and missiles too. And in a statement, the supreme leader in Iran, Ali Khamenei, said, and I quote, "The malicious Zionist regime," that's his name for Israel, "will be punished for what he called an attack on Iranian soil." In other words, the attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria. Now,
okay, moving more closer to current. This is from 4 hours ago, where booms were heard in Jerusalem after Iran launches missiles and drones at Israel.
So are those the drones? Are those the missile system?
We're just going to watch more of this footage here. This is from the AP from 4 hours ago as well. Fuck me. Oh, God. All right. This is from 4 hours ago. According to CBS News, U.S. military has shot down some drones Iran has sent towards Israel, according to Defense Department officials.
You see on your screen right now some of that activity that's happening over Israel. These are shots of Bethlehem and the skies over Bethlehem late in the evening into the early morning hours. Air raid sirens have been heard across major cities in Israel, and many of these flares that you're seeing are believed to be action by the Israeli defense, the Iron Dome, and other defensive capabilities by Israel to try and take out that large number of Iranian drones that were launched earlier today. Well, President Biden is monitoring the situation while huddled with his security team. CBS News' Natalie Brand has more from the White House. Natalie, great to have you back with us. We understand that the president is now meeting with his National Security Council. We watched as he cut his vacation or his weekend in Delaware short and came back to the White House. What are you learning from officials there now?
Well, Lana, we know that this meeting with national security leaders is ongoing. Top administration officials are in that meeting in the Situation Room at this hour. That includes the Defense Secretary, Secretary of State Blinken, the CIA Director, the National Security Advisor. At this point, Lana, we are not expecting on-camera comments or a public appearance by President Biden Saturday night. But the NSC says that the president is being regularly updated, saying the attack is likely to unfold over hours. That's the statement they put out a little while ago. Obviously, this is still unfolding. The White House trying to assess what exactly is going on the ground in Israel. But again, an important message from the president that we saw Friday and continuing in paper statements today is that the U.S. support for Israel.
Where do you get a green blazer like that? I don't know. It is kind of fire. It'd be hilarious to see her in front of like a green screen.
And its defense remains ironclad, and that the U.S. is standing beside Israel, ready to support their defense and threats from Iran. And our Ellie Watson at the Pentagon, she reports that the U.S. military has in fact shot down some drones that Iran sent towards Israel. She also says that according to a military official, U.S. forces in the region continue to shoot down Iranian-launched drones targeting Israel, and that U.S. forces remain postured to provide additional defensive support and also...
Well, if you were wondering to yourself just how involved America was going to be getting, well, it would appear that it's not just going to be sending military supplies, weapons, or money to Israel. Granted, they've already done some amount of military involvement in the, the Red Sea, I believe, and in that area to some degree, attempting to protect shipping lanes and Israeli vessels. But now they're officially intercepting missiles on land. In the area, and things are feeling very much U.S. involved now, fully involved. Israel has dragged us fully into this war, and it's not even dragged us. I feel like Biden and Netanyahu went skipping into this a little bit, and it's very frustrating. Let's watch one more of these CBS, but this is from 3 hours ago. Regarding the same thing, just slightly more up-to-date information, just trying to get us up to current.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Weijia Jiang in Washington. A major new escalation in the Middle East. Tonight, Iran launched an unprecedented attack on Israel. It involves dozens of drones launched from Iranian territory. A first. This is in retaliation for Israel's bombing of Iran's consulate in Syria earlier this month, which killed a number of senior leaders of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Earlier today, Israel shut down all school activities in anticipation of an attack. The United States has been helping Israel tonight, shooting down some drones. There is significant concern that this could widen the ongoing Israel-Gaza war to more of the Middle East. President Biden returned to the White House earlier from Delaware. CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb is in Tel Aviv. Imtiaz, tell us what you are seeing and what you are hearing on the ground.
Weija, an extremely worrying night here in Israel, where in the last hour alone, we've heard the sound of sirens and loud booms, including in areas right across the country, which has just rattled so many people after dozens of drones and potentially missiles entered Israeli airspace. In fact, I believe we have some footage of that. Again, you can hear the sound.
Okay. We already watched that footage. Wait, what is happening in chat? What's a manch? Earlier this manch? The manch of April? Okay, moving on. This is some more footage, but of apparent U.S. Missiles shooting down Iranian drones. This is from an hour ago, from Global News.
On this Saturday night, attacks from the air and on the waters. Iran strikes Israel with drones and seizes a cargo ship near the Persian Gulf.
It's one of the most dangerous times.
Wait, no, fuck this guy. Hold on, I gotta set this up for the actual footage. Fuck you. I forgot this one's like 20 minutes long. This one pisses me off. Where is it?
With Farah Nasser reporting tonight, Tracy Tong.
I guess it's right there. Huh.
Sirens and explosions over the old city of Jerusalem and across Israel tonight as a barrage of drones and missiles launched hours ago finally arrives, being intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome system, with U.S. defense forces in the region also confirming they are shooting down drones as well. Whoever harms us, we will harm them, warned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin.
Okay, that was just wanted to catch that footage of the drones and missiles being shot down to some degree here. I assume that there will probably be some amount of damage done to Israel from this one. This is, I believe, I mean, from what I can tell, it's the largest barrage that we've seen so far. Let's just catch this other one as well. CBS.
Two U.S. officials tell CBS News that Iran launched missiles towards Israel in addition to drones in a retaliatory attack. There are reports of explosions and apparent intercepts across Israel, including Tel Aviv and the West Bank. Natalie Brand is at the White House tonight. Natalie, what can you tell us about the White House response?
Well, I can tell you at this hour, Michael, the president still appears to be at work because there's still a Marine standing guard outside the Oval Office. We know that a U.S. official confirmed to CBS News that the president would be speaking to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu following this meeting that the president convened with his national security team and top administration officials, from the Secretary of Defense to the Secretary of State, top intelligence leaders, military leaders, and more. We know that that meeting lasted roughly 2 hours. It was convened ahead of this attack on Israel beginning to unfold. And the U.S., the president actually putting out a picture of that meeting inside the Situation Room and reiterating the message that U.S. support for Israel and its defense remains ironclad.
And this was a tweet from POTUS
To
here.
that end,
I just met with my national security team for an update on Iran's attacks against Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security against threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad. How great. For fuck's sake. Okay, move on to this next one here. This is from an hour ago from CNN, where John Bolton, the former United States National Security Advisor, and multiple other government positions, I'm not going to go through it all, but you're probably familiar with this guy's face. He went on to CNN and said, Israel's response to Iran strikes should be far stronger, quote unquote.
I want to bring in the former United States Ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton. He was also President Trump's National Security Advisor. As you know, Ambassador, Israel's ambassador is calling for the UN Security Council to immediately convene following these attacks. What's your assessment of what's going on right now?
Well, nothing's going to happen in the Security Council, that's for sure. I mean, what we had tonight was a massive failure of Israeli and American deterrence, massive failure, a 200 ballistic missile, cruise missile, drone failure. And I think, notwithstanding that there appears to be very little damage, fingers crossed until we get the final assessment. And thank God if the death toll is low or non-existent. And while we're at it, let's thank George W. Bush for getting out of the ABM Treaty of 1972, unleashing American missile defense capabilities.
Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent
but
at
once
this
we
juncture.
see what the damage is, I think it's incumbent on Israel and the United States to reestablish deterrence in a major way. And I think that means, by definition, Israel's response, and there should be a response, should not be proportionate. It should be...
Response to a response? They just assassinated Iranian officials at an Iranian embassy consulate, or whatever it's called, which is definitely against international law. And now you want them to respond to Iran responding to them committing a war crime or violation of international law? Weird. Okay, John.
Far stronger, because when deterrence fails, to reestablish it, you have to teach the adversary that any gain they may hope to get by any future...
Too bad Henry Kissinger is dead. If only we had him to get his sage advice as well.
Attack will be more than outweighed by the damage that will be caused.
So,
I hope President Biden isn't...
Well, I was just sorry for interrupting, but give us your assessment of an appropriate Israeli response to what Iran has now done.
Well, what Iran did tonight that I think was most significant was the firing of ballistic missiles and cruise missiles from its territory directly at Israel.
Which is what Israel's been doing to everybody else around them. Hello, I feel like I'm losing it right now. John, are we living in alternate realities right now, pal? Is that what's happening? Because that's what it feels like.
Almost certainly at this point, none of those missiles contained a nuclear warhead. But you never can tell when the next firing, the next salvo of ballistic missiles might contain a nuclear warhead. So I think among the many targets Israel should consider, this is the opportunity to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I hope President Biden is not trying to dissuade Prime Minister Netanyahu from doing that. And if he succeeds...
Jesus Christ. This guy is completely unhinged. He hopes that President Biden doesn't try to tell Benjamin Netanyahu not to go and... What is this guy's... What is the point of his existence? Somebody explain it to me. What in the fuck? What in the fuck is this guy's deal?
And if at some future point the Ayatollahs are able to pull off what former Israeli Prime Minister
He has a raging hate boner for Iran. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like, chat. Schmeggly.
Sharon called a nuclear holocaust, history will know who to blame.
So just to be precise, Ambassador Bolton, you're recommending that Israel launch an airstrike to try to destroy whatever nuclear capabilities the Iranians might have? Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. I think they should go after the nuclear fuel cycle activities that are well known. Their locations are well known.
What does that mean? Is he telling them to bomb nuclear facilities? What? What is this guy saying right now?
Don't be creepy.
Oh my God. Oh, what a psycho.
I think that would be the appropriate target, because right now Iran has demonstrated it is not restrained by any concern about a direct attack.
Yeah, and the thing is like, does Iran even really have... I'm trying to think. I feel like I look into this, but it hasn't been that long since the Iran nuclear deal was since the America like walked out of it and essentially destroyed it. I'm trying to think of how long it would take them to even get something like that online. It does sound like that's what he's saying, though, isn't it? What the fuck?
Israeli territory from its attack. It has, by its own admission, fired ballistic and cruise missiles. And the only thing that has saved Israel is this amazing technology. Next time, if...
I didn't even interpret it that way, but after you wrote it, now I've read it, the message in this way. It's hilarious. If people crab dance at the announcement of my passing, so be it. You know, maybe it'll be an ironical crab dance. And to that I say, have fun, space fams. Have fun. Have fun, enjoy life. Celebrate. Do we listen to more of this nonsense right now? I just stopped it, just like out of, what do you call it? Like reflex, just from having listened to John Bolton for a full 3 minutes. But you know what? Fuck it. This is our last video. I didn't even notice. This was our, well, it's technically our penultimate video, but the last video isn't serious. So, wow, we started so early tonight too. It's only 12:30 in the Eastern Seaboard. Okay, let's listen to some more of John Bolton's insane nonsense.
And the box is full of Pepe.
Attacks come from a different location containing nuclear warheads. Israel might not be so lucky. This is not time to play academic games and message and signal. This is a question of power. People say they're concerned about a wider war. The wider war began on October the 7th. That was not an Israeli war against Arabs or Palestinians or Gazans. It was Iran's attack on it.
Oh my God, this guy is just full of it. He's really, like, I feel like he's late to the train right now. Like, this has already been decided that that's absolutely what happened. Oh my God.
Using the Ring of Fire strategy. That's the strategic environment Israel faces right now. And the main cause, the puppeteer, the puppet master, is Iran. And if you take away their nuclear capability...
I mean, who are you banning? You're banning me? You're banning me from my own chat? And I'm not ending the stream yet. It's just the last of the serious videos. It's the weekend. We're going to hang out. We're going to have a, you know, super secret late night after hours chill stream as usual. So don't fret.
That would be a dramatic hit to the regime, maybe enough to topple it.
Ambassador, my colleague Jim Sciutto is here with me in Washington. He has a question. He has a follow-up question for you. Go ahead, Jim.
Ambassador Bolton, given, and you know as well.
That's fucked, but it does sound accurate. It does sound like a John Bolton quote. October 7th was just the beginning of the World War that I fantasize about. Definitely attributed to John Bolton.
As we do that, Hezbollah and its enormous missile arsenal, many thousands of rockets and missiles, is intended in part by Iran to be a pressure point if Israel were to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. And I wonder, given the size of that, an order of magnitude bigger than it was, say, during the 2006 war, whether you believe Israel can today fight what would be a multi-front war, Gaza in the south, Hezbollah in the north, Iran to...
Okay, I've had enough of this this ghoul. Oh, God damn it, CNN. For fuck's sakes. Oh yeah, I totally agree, PB. I too wish that the media would stop platforming Bolton, but here he is. And the fact is, it's not just the media. It's been administration after administration. Just to check ourselves on this. 1982 to 1983, he was the assistant administrator of USAID for program and policy coordination under Ronald Reagan. 85 to 88, he was the assistant attorney general under Reagan. He was also the assistant attorney general for the civil division under Reagan. Under H.W. Bush, he was the third undersecretary of state for arms control and international security affairs. Under that was the second Bush. First Bush, he was the assistant secretary of state for international organization affairs. So, like, literally, Republican president after Republican president after Republican president until we got to Donald Trump, where he was the United States National Security Advisor. So it's not just the media. It's kind of all of Republican presidents propping him up as well. You know? He wouldn't be relevant if he wasn't all of those fucking things, right? Not that his voice or his opinions are relevant, but just the fact that, like, you get what I'm saying? By way of power, we've talked about this, where people are given relevance by way of power, even if we disagree vehemently with the sentiments and whatever else they might espouse. What the fuck am I doing? He did many things, many bad things mostly. Dude's a fucking garbage person. Oh, God. What's next? Okay. Well, here's the final video, just for us to have a giggle. There's a little Mitchell and Webb. Historical.
We should be able to hold them at this point here, at least for a few hours.
Why skulls, though?
What?
Why skulls?
Well, maybe they're the skulls of our enemies.
Maybe. But is that how it comes across? I mean, it doesn't say next to the skull, you know, yeah, we killed him, but trust
really
us, this guy was horrid.
Well, no, but...
I mean, what does skulls make you think of? Death, cannibals, beheading, pirates.
Pirates are fun.
It's true. I didn't say we weren't fun, but fun or not, pirates are still the baddies. I just can't think of anything good about a skull.
What about pure Aryan skull shape?
Even that is more usually depicted with the skin still on. Whereas the Allies...
No, you haven't been listening to Allied propaganda. Of course they're going to say we're the bad guys.
But they didn't get to design our uniforms. And their symbols are all, you know, quite nice. Stars, stripes, lions, sickles.
What's so good about a sickle?
Well, nothing. And obviously, if there's one thing we've learnt in the last 1,000 miles of retreat, is that Russian agriculture is in dire need of mechanization.
Tell me about it.
But you've got to say, it's better than a skull. I mean, I really can't think of anything worse as a symbol than a skull.
A rat's anus?
Yeah, and if we were fighting an army marching under the banner of a rat's anus, I'd probably be a lot less worried, Hans.
Okay. So...
Okay, chap. Just figured we'd have a little chuckle to ourselves about fascists. And more specifically, Nazis. Okay. You know me, keeping it light as always. Well, it was absolute pleasure having all of you here with me on this journey through the abyss, as always. I hope you too enjoyed it. Not sure what it is we achieved, aside from slightly educating ourselves further about the challenges and struggles that lie in front of us. But I suppose that's it for me tonight. Till I see you next. You stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Can't forget this. These here are your galactic patrons. These individuals made the right decisions in life, leading them to being able to help support the work done here at the Galactic News Network. You too can become just as galactic as these individuals, such as Gabby, Goth Dogs, Aaron W., Robot Cat, Pitchforks Dragon, the Anti-Corporatist, and Vincent Morales. Just click this link here in chat.
I got boxes full of Pepe.